Hello, everyone. Michael Jordan fans are the best. And today we're going to be talking about if Michael Jordan's on court greatness led to his greatness off the court. Um, Today we have Marketing Rex. How you doing today?
Doing fine.
Sports and Fitness Rants. Robin, how you doing?
Yo, what's up, everybody? Doing good, man. Let's do it. You do it.
Hoop God 23. How you doing today?
Man, another great day to talk sports, man. I'm here for it.
Yep. And we should have Uncommon Sense come in here in the new term or near term. He said he's been having issues trying to join the stream. So he should be coming in the very near term. I want to welcome all in the chat so far. We've got DC Slim. We've got Michael. We've got Pierre Lynch. Welcome you all. But we're going to start talking. Hopefully Uncommon Sense is able to get in here. It shouldn't be too much longer. But first, with this question said, I'm going to ask Marketing Rex first, just to be the contrarian, as you typically are. Do you think that Michael Jordan's on-court greatness led to his greatness off the court?
Well, yes, obviously, but there are levels to this. Dr. J was great and was marketed off the court. Way early on, Bob Cousy, who had the first shoe deal in the NBA for all those in the poll, he was marketed.
I didn't even know that.
They were great. They were marketed. But when you take someone with Jordan's style, his flair, his flash, to be quite honest, he's photogenic. You know, he's well-spoken. He was educated. When you take that model and you put a businessman like David Stern behind it, you reach heights that no other sport has ever reached. And that's what you had. It was the perfect storm of marketing, advertising, and talent. Because there are other sports that have had guys comparable in dominance to Michael Jordan. Basketball has had players comparable in dominance to Jordan, but they didn't have all the tools for the marketing and the advertising. When you have the perfect face, how many times do you hear it in the fashion industry? I have 3 daughters, so I know this stuff. Maybe you guys don't. In the fashion industry, when you have that perfect model, but you have the perfect people behind them, they end up being outrageously huge stars across the board in every medium. And that's what you had with Jordan. If Jordan had been a 7-footer, it wouldn't have been the same. He could wear a suit and walk and do a commercial, and he looked like a normal guy. He's good-looking, normal guy. Mm-hmm. But then it's like Arnold. The thing about Arnold was he was huge for a bodybuilder. But when Arnold put on a suit and walked down the street, he didn't look freakish like a lot of bodybuilders were looking. He made it in the movies, and all that, because he was very photogenic. He was not well spoken, but it all combines. It's a soup, and him individually combined with Stern and his business sense just sent things through the roof. I mean, far past the roof. And we're never going to see those heights again because there's nowhere to go from where they're at but down.
Absolutely. Uncommon Sense, can you hear me? Hello.
Probably got to unmute his mic.
Maybe. Usually they have an avatar there as well. Uncommon Sense, I don't know if there should be a video and audio. If you get out of your browser and come back in, it should ask you if you allow your video and audio. You just press yes, because we can't hear you unless you're muted. All right. It seems like he's still having technical issues. With the follow on from that, Robin, what do you think about what Rex said about that?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. Michael Jordan's on-court game has a lot to do with his off-court success because it's Michael Jordan's on-court game is what made Michael Jordan who he is. It's the way that he approached the game, right? It's not just necessarily the way, that he did play or the things that he accomplished necessarily, the numbers and the accolades. Michael Jordan, at the core of who he is based off of the hard work, the grit, the determination, all of those things. That's what made him who he was. So, all that stuff led him to be so great because he worked on his game and things of that nature. And the beauty of his game, all this stuff was a balance. And then, like Rex said, you had, the perfect marketing storm, behind him, so to speak, with the NBA. He came at the perfect time, the 90s, the crossover, the golden era of the NBA, man. That's when Michael Jordan was at his heights. At the most popular time of the NBA, Michael Jordan was the most popular player. And it was largely based off his game on the court, If his game didn't, measure up to what everyone was hyping him up to be, or, the expectations, signing that shoe deal with Nike. Remember, he had to live up and sell a certain amount of sneakers to live up. There was a standard there. He had to live up to that standard, and he did because of his on-court game, the way that he played the game. He competed in the slam dunk contest 3 separate occasions early in his career. He didn't duck and hide from these kinds of things. He was out there for the people. He put on a show for the people. So with all those things that we talk about, these are the things that we must always remember, man. Michael Jordan was out there in those early years, man, for the people. And those are the things that, earned him those contracts and all that stuff. And like Rex was saying also, Michael Jordan had the charisma. He had the swag. I mean, Michael Jordan always carried himself with class and dignity. He always spoke about the competition. He always gave his teammates their respects and things of that nature. So that also added to people liking him and respecting him as a basketball player to be like my commercials, man.
Hoop God, what do you got to say about what Robin said?
Yeah, I just want to echo both Robin and Rex for what they were bringing forth in regards to Michael Jordan, because I'm just looking at it like being a kid. It's taking me back into my childhood, and like they both said, it was the perfect timing, because I'm going to give you guys 3 examples, right? The Be Like Mike campaign, if he was me, I want to be like Mike. I can still hear to this day because you had the perfect player, the perfect human, and he's the top of his game in the NBA at that time, right? So just by taking that commercial, to Be Like Mike, still resonates to this day. Then I got another one for you. I know you all remember the Wheaties. And I was one of them. I'd go to the store. I didn't want anything else. I didn't want Cheerios. I didn't want the Frosted Flakes. I wanted Wheaties because of Michael Jordan. My number 3.
I wanted Fruity Pebbles.
Hey, my number 3 reason, right? He totally changed the wardrobe, because I'm sorry. No offense, to the guys who got a little bit more wisdom on me. I cannot wear them Daisy Dukes. And when MJ started to wear the baggy shorts, and then the Fab Five kind of took it to another level, that was my generation. Because I'm looking back like, hey, with all due respect to Magic, Bird, and all them, I'm like, bruh, I'm sorry. I'm not wearing those shorts that come way up there. I'm going to get the biggest size in there, and I'm putting them on, and that's it. So I'm taking all that into the equation, that when you take somebody like Michael Jordan, you combine the marketing, the professionalism, the way he can articulate himself, the competitive verb, that fire, that passion, and you put all of that into one person, and you get behind him and say, hey, we're pushing you as the face of our league. You're going to be our ambassador, right? When you're at the pinnacle, it's when they say Michael Jordan is bigger than the Pope. It's like, what else can you say? I mean, it's like, bruh, this man is clearly the pinnacle. He's the barometer. And I'm saying it to say, when you look across all the other sports, they'll say Wayne Gretzky, he's the Michael Jordan of hockey. They'll say Derek Jeter or Ken Griffey Jr. or whatever baseball player. I'm just throwing them out there. He's the Michael Jordan of baseball. Get to football. Tom Brady, Patrick Mahomes, Jerry Rice, whoever. That guy's the Michael Jordan of the NFL. That's when you're pretty much at the mountaintop. And I say he's at Mount Olympus, and then it's everybody else. Just because I don't even think Nike anticipated his meteoric rise and how impactful it was going to be on a generation of people, not just basketball, just sports, period.
Well, Zeus is the Michael Jordan of Greek gods.
Hey, there you go, Rex. There you go.
Real fast, there's people in the live chat asking if this is pre-recorded or for the link. The link will be dropped later on, but we're going to have just a show with the guests on here. Uncommon Sense should be coming on here soon. He's been having technical difficulties. But yeah, the link will be dropped closer to the end of the show. And this is live. So, yeah. So, I mean, I got to say something, though, Hoop God. Even though I was a huge Michael Jordan fan as a kid, Wheaties were nasty, man.
Oh, no, Dart. Listen, I am not disagreeing. They were nasty. But you wanted them because who was on that box? Like, that's how impactful it was.
Okay, well, here's some 6 degrees of separation for you. Do you remember when Mary Lou Retton was on the Wheaties box in '84 Olympics?
No, Rex, that's before my time.
I wasn't born.
Yeah.
Okay,
Rex,
well, during the '84
Olympics,
during the '84 Olympics, Mary Lou Retton, the gymnast, was on the cover of Wheaties. Her father played college basketball in West Virginia with Jerry West.
Yeah.
So there's your basketball connection.
Hey, see, Rex, you've given me 2 things I wasn't aware of before we did this. I didn't know Bob Cousy had the first shoe, and I didn't know what was that? Say her name again,
Mary Lou Retton.
Mary Lou. Yeah. See, I didn't know this. See, I be learning stuff, man. I be paying attention when I hear something. Like, all right, I got to put that down.
Well, one of my coaches also played with Jerry West, Willie Akers, one of the greatest high school coaches.
I'm sorry, Rex. Yeah, James Brickner says, "I love you guys coming together to combat the narrative." And that,
oh yeah, that's easy,
and
work, man. Them dudes. Are
and Uncommon Sense should be on soon. Oh, hopefully this is working. I hope it's working.
Is he in?
He's in. I don't think it's working though. Do you hear us, Uncommon Sense?
I got a message for James. So we got a dub Dart, the Nick Fury of the sports talk.
You really need to spend some time trying to get a hold of some other basketball YouTubers and get them on here.
Well, that's why I reached out. Well, that's why I reached out to Uncommon Sense.
I know.
And he's having an audio issue.
Yo, shout out to Uncut Hoops.
You're being sabotaged.
Oh yeah, Uncut Hoops is another good one, man. Shout out to Uncut Hoops.
I see people up in the comment section. Shout out to everybody out there in the comments, man.
Hey, yo, Rob, that Indiana Jones one you put up there, bro, that was hilarious, man. I'm gonna have to steal that. I'm gonna shout you out though, but I'm gonna have to steal that. I said, bro, this is the perfect example. Funny, right? Them jokers be running like a boulder, but hey, I got another one for you.
Crazy, man, crazy.
Hey, I noticed something, right, real quick. When you have them in a tunnel where they can't get out, pretty much you got them boxed in. It's almost like the epitome of somebody drowning. They got to be like, oh, well, what about Kobe? Or what about bruh? You can't defend one guy because he's drowning. Now you got to drag somebody else down with you. Like, see what I'm saying?
For real.
Okay, here's a question though, because .com had brought this up. He said that the game is more popular than it has ever been because it's worldwide. I think he's specifically talking about China and East Asia, specifically with the Philippines. We'll start with Rex, Marketing Rex. What do you have to say about that? Do you think that the game, I know you don't watch the game, so I should, let's take that for the popularity, how popular you think it is for you at least. Do you think the game is the most popular it's ever been?
Well, first of all, you need to differentiate the game. I am a huge fan of the NBA. I am not. The game is bigger now than it ever has been, ever. Not even, I mean, it's not even argued. Something I was going to bring up to you, though, in a text last night, but it was too late. I thought of it. But have you noticed when you look at foreign players that come to the league, very few of them are small guards.
Mm-hmm.
You ever notice that? They're usually big men. You get wing players. I mean, I know like Luka plays point guard, but he's 6'7", 200 and what, 20, 225, something like that.
Give or take, yeah.
Yeah. You ever notice that there's never small guards that make it to the NBA? Very, very few. You have the one that was the point guard in Miami, and then you got what is it? Rudy Fernandez. But
yeah.
But he was never like truly elite in the NBA, I don't believe. Have you ever thought why?
Why?
I don't know. I'm wondering if it's because the
No,
international.
it's like you said. It's like you've been saying, Rex. You've been saying. I always hear you say that these days the NBA now they draft and recruit players based off of athleticism and the potential, not based off of their actual fundamentals and things of that nature. The basis of their actual basketball fundamentals at their core. So it would lead you to not draft players who are only diminutive, 6'3" or below, something like that, unless you're supremely talented or something like that. So I believe that has something to do with it. They're going to start drafting these longer, more athletic-looking guys off of the potential what they can be, like a Wembanyama. Now, obviously, he's a rare case, I'm saying, but he's being drafted and touted off of the potential of what he could possibly be, down the road. And look at his body type,
Yeah, Giannis, Hakeem, same thing. I think it's that, and then the fact that I know it was the case 30, 35 years ago, I don't know about now, that American coaches, NBA coaches are not big fans of small guards coming from international rules to NBA style rules. International rules, the little man has a lot more things possible. And I really think that when they look at a smaller guard overseas, they automatically assume or equate, okay, that's an international rules that are better for little guys. If we put them in the NBA surrounded by 6'9", 7-foot guys, he's not going to be able to do what he's doing. I think it's the combination of the two. But there's really no European players that really catch the can be marketed, that have the personality, the look, the everything that Jordan had to carry on, be like the face of the league. When you think of any of them, do you guys know of any that really? I mean, Luka maybe. Does he have the personality for it, or?
No. I told you, man. That's the problem for a lot of these guys is the personality, the swag. For some of these guys to really take that torch, to be the face of the NBA. They have the game, maybe, things of that nature, but they don't necessarily have that personality. So it's a combination of having all those things to be able to speak. Some of these guys, like you hear them speak, they don't know what they're saying, man. They sound crazy half the time, man. You know what I'm saying?
A lot of them, English is their second or third language even, and they can't articulate their points as clear. And when it comes to marketing, that's something you got to be.
Some of these guys are goofy, man. Giannis is goofy, man. I love the guy to death, man, but he's a goofy dude, man. You know what I'm saying? So, it ain't his fault, but he just don't got the swag of a Michael Jordan, man. He ain't got the swag of a Dr. J, an Allen Iverson, a Kobe Bryant. You know what I'm saying? He ain't got the swag like some of these guys, man, to really take it like that. You know what I'm saying? Even Luka to a lesser degree. He's always crying to me and stuff like that. He don't really have that swag, you know what I'm saying? That grit, that toughness like that.
Well, I personally think Allen Iverson could have been in the same grouping, but the powers that be at the time were afraid of making him the face of the league.
Just what he represented. I picked up on that in that sit down him and Larry Brown had. So yeah, I see where you're coming from with that.
I can't remember who it was, but someone back then, 25 years ago, made a comment about when he got the tattoo on his neck.
Yeah.
That basically, well, there goes the face of the NBA. Not now.
And
And no, Rex, I get where you're coming from, because if you take if that's when the NBA was transitioning from that Jordan era with the suits and being professional and, like you said, articulating yourself in a certain way. But you also gotta factor in the music genre, right? On the hip hop side. See, it was like that the Southern style hip hop, the gangster rap and all that. It was kind of starting to fuse in with the NBA, whereas in the 90s there was a separator. But when you got the new era guys coming in, like you said, the Iversons and the Marburys, the Kevin Garnetts, they're even bringing in that style. And being young, I didn't see it, but now being a little bit more wiser, I understand why. Because you want to market your league a certain way, and you really don't want to have your top tier guys being the representatives or your ambassadors wearing, like, I would say, things that aren't really appealing to a business perspective. So I get it now. I just didn't understand it back then when I was young. So
well, to your point, exactly to your point, what a lot of people don't understand about marketing, you advertise to the masses.
Yeah.
You market to business people. There's a difference between advertising and marketing. You advertise to the masses who loved Iverson.
Mm-hmm.
But you market to the business leaders who didn't. And there's the disconnect.
Mm-hmm.
When you had someone like Jordan, he was the golden goose to everyone involved.
Well, listen, man, I want to say something about the Allen Iverson thing. When we talk about Allen Iverson, the thing about Allen Iverson versus Michael Jordan is that Allen Iverson, like you said, he represented something different than a Michael Jordan. And the thing about Allen Iverson that to this day gets him the respect that very few people get, the street cred, so to speak, of an Allen Iverson, you know what I'm saying? And the reason why he gets that street cred, why is that? Because he never changed who he was at his core, man. He remained the same. He kept the braids. He kept the jerseys. They had to come out with a dress code to stop this man from being who he was, because that was the swag, that was the icon, but that's what he represented. So yes, he was never necessarily going to be the face of the NBA due to those things you mentioned. But at the same time, he still gets the respect because he kept it real and he kept his integrity. Exactly, Rex. So but you're right though. He's never going to be that face though because of those things. But Michael Jordan though, he was a smarter businessman because at that time, that's not what the NBA needed. At that time, they needed someone to be classy and to be well-spoken and to have that game to back it up, to take the game where? Global. Michael Jordan took the game global. That's why, because he was able to be marketed.
Real fast. I believe that Uncommon Sense has gotten his technical difficulties figured out because we can see his avatar.
Can you hear me?
We can hear
Yes.
you.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
How you doing, sir?
What's going
He's
on,
making that
everybody?
Michael Jordan top 75 entrance.
There you go. How are you, sir? I don't know if you've been hearing this conversation lately. We were talking about Allen Iverson and his greatness, but for the people that don't know you, would you like to talk about your page and then talk about the general subject of did Michael Jordan's on-court greatness lead to greatness off the court?
Yeah. So my page is really geared towards the people who grew up in the Michael Jordan era. The people who, in my opinion, grew up during the greatest era of basketball.
Say that again. Say that again for the people in the back.
The people who grew up during the greatest era of basketball. And did Michael Jordan's greatness on the court lead to off the court? I believe absolutely 100% that Michael Jordan's greatness on the court. And the way I say it is this, is, there's been thousands of NBA players. There were lots of players that came before Jordan. There were lots of players that came after Jordan. So I feel like people try to make it like Nike and some of the other media stuff was solely responsible for how popular Jordan became. But my thing is, if that was the case, why couldn't they do that for anyone else? There have been great players before and after Michael Jordan. So to me, it was the greatness of Michael Jordan's game on the court that allowed Nike to market him into, such a mega superstar that we've never seen before. It was the greatness that led to Gatorade and the shoe commercials with Spike Lee and everything that came from Michael Jordan was based on how great he was on that court and what he made people feel on the basketball court.
I disagree. It was the shoes. It's the shoes, Mars.
Real fast. I actually have been doing a new series where I look at old news articles that talk about Michael Jordan and his impact from going throughout his career. So I'm only on the first few of them. But to the point is that even when he was drafted, he was considered the greatest player outside of Hakeem Olajuwon at the time. And he had the 3 years of college basketball, and he was already the most famous college basketball player that, according to these news articles, going out and being touted, even though they were saying, well, he's not Hakeem, he's still the greatest, the most popular college player when they drafted him. And even in his first game, they were saying that they were just absolutely cheering for him, that it was just a sight to be seen, even though it was his first game and he only scored 16 points. They were talking how bad he was doing. But what I'm getting at is that he had the hype behind him even before his first game in the NBA, and he just doubled down on it and made it and became the biggest basketball player of all time.
Well, I told you on the comment I made on that video, in his first game, he went in and tried to dunk on Jeff Ruland. He got the whistle blew. I believe he got called for a travel because they called those back then. And he got put on his back really hard and was down for a couple minutes in his first ever game. Yeah. He wasn't playing LeBron. He wasn't down there like a soccer player grabbing his shin trying to get the yellow card. He was actually hurt. He got up, he shook it off, he said nothing, and he played. He understood his place in the hierarchy, in the pecking order. He understood, I'm a rookie. It's my first game. They put me on the floor. That's what they do to great rookies back then. You knew it was going to happen. There it was, his wake-up call, his welcome to the league, and he just played through it. He made no drama of it. You play the role. You do your part, and you learn, and that's what he did.
Hoop God, what do you got to say about that? Or what Uncommon Sense said?
Yeah, well, I wanted to come back to something we were speaking on about the players who you could appeal to, but also what Rob mentioned too. But to answer your question real quick, that's another reason why Michael Jordan is touted so highly above the other guy, because you never saw him. Like I said, the eye test don't lie. You never saw him trying to manipulate the refs for calls, doing all that, flopping and flailing and trying to get your Oscar performance on. Like, you didn't see that with him. And that's another reason why, because guys who love and respect the game, they're not going to respect a guy that's trying to junk up the game. It's about integrity. But coming back to what Rob mentioned and also Uncommon and Rick's, there was two things at play. Now, I believe with Iverson, where his upbringing in the inner city and dealing with that, navigating through that, traversing through that, like all the stuff he dealt with prior to getting drafted, that also played a part in his popularity. And I'm all for it, because you're a product of your environment, essentially. But on the flip side, I look at Michael Jordan, who was born in New York. They relocated down to North Carolina, and they were mostly like on the outskirts of the city. So you got two different dynamics of upbringing. And I also say that to say this: Iverson could never understand Michael Jordan's upbringing, right? Just like Jordan could never understand Iverson's. But the appeal factor, because you got guys who grew up similar to Michael Jordan, like myself, 2-parent household, a strong disciplinary, like authoritative father. Then you got guys like Iverson. He grew up like in a single parent household, which the father was a part of his life. He just wasn't in the home, but still getting to the NBA ultimately. So like Rex was saying, you can market it to a certain demographic out there who are gonna appeal and be like, okay, yeah, that's a guy I can get behind because I know what he went through. Versus Michael Jordan, you know, there's guys who can say, okay, hey, I grew up in similar situations, you know what I'm saying, playing out there on the basketball court full of dust and dirt, and you know what I'm saying, it's like you feel like you the man out there. So I believe when you got two individuals like that, you can like market them in different ways and get the same results. But ultimately, yeah, when you bring in that business aspect, it's gonna be the guy who you can put the suit on and he can speak in a professional manner, and you don't really bring any, I would say, negative press. Because I do believe had Iverson just capitulated a little bit, I'm not saying change who he is, but like when Larry Brown was trying to connect with him, like allow yourself to be coached. I guarantee you, the media, they're powerful, and you can either let them use you for good, or you can make an enemy out of them. And I think that ultimately, like, kind of, I would say, played a negative part on his behalf. Like the rant talking about practice. Hey, don't get me wrong, bro. I don't like practice. You know what I'm saying? But you got to be PC when you're up there on that podium, because y'all know the media play games. They'll misconstrue your words, misquote, say things that you didn't say, and now you got a whole bunch of unnecessary stuff. And I think Jordan kind of realized that, and y'all notice he would be very meticulous with what he would say and what he wouldn't say. And then if y'all remember, he started interviewing with Ahmad Rashad because he knew what the media was up to, so he didn't give them that access. He only allowed Ahmad Rashad, which I think was very intelligent on his behalf. But that's what I want to say on that.
Real fast before I pass it over to Robin, it kind of reminds me of Muhammad Ali with Howard Cosell, where he just not that it was exclusive, but because he did do interviews with other people, but that was his guy. And you know, and you could tell that they had this in a way. I'm not saying that they were best friends or anything.
They had a synergy.
Yeah. And it was something that grew over time that they went and they cultivated, which was, you know, super interesting. Robin, what do you got to say about Hoop God, what he's saying?
Yeah, no, I want to, you know, just add into, you know, to the whole mix of the conversation. You know, we talk about Michael Jordan, and you were mentioning him about, you know, him coming into the league with, you know, the hype, things of that nature. You know, once again, it's timing for Michael Jordan, man. I told you, this man was born and made to be the greatest of all time. It's about timing with this man. This man came in fresh off the Olympics. This man put on a show in the Olympics, and that just added to his greatness. That's why Bobby Knight would come in and say, man, grab this man and play him at center. This is when Michael Jordan started to establish himself. It's about the timing, him coming right in after that. But we also must remember the flip side of that also. The Chicago Bulls forgot to pick this man up at the airport. The number 3 draft pick in the draft of your team, you forget to pick the man up at the airport. So with all the hype that Michael Jordan actually had coming in, they still forgot to pick him up. So these are the realities of Michael Jordan's career coming into the NBA, man. And once again, this is why Michael Jordan's game means so much, because he established himself on the court, man, with the grit, with the heart, the way that he approached the game, man. This is Michael Jordan, man.
Uncommon Sense. I'd like to hear your take. And before you do it, would you like to be called by something else? Because Uncommon Sense is kind of a mouthful.
Just uncommon, or you know, anything abbreviated like that.
Hey, Uncommon. Keep cooking cool. Them jokers too, man. On
go with
videos,
money.
Dog.
Just call him money.
Money.
Mr. Sense. What's your take on all this?
But yeah, I was kind of piggyback off something Hoop God was saying about Allen Iverson and the not being coachable thing. And it kind of made me think that, you know, Michael Jordan really had no weaknesses all the way around. And what I mean by that is not only in his game, but he was also coachable, and he was also a great leader. So I feel like a lot of superstars, they may have the talent like Allen Iverson. You know, that's one thing I always felt like held Allen back, is his attitude held him back from being as coachable. That probably could have turned him into an even greater player, as great as he was. And I feel like every superstar normally has some component missing. Maybe they're coachable, but maybe they're not really a great leader to the team in the sense of really, being unafraid to hold anyone accountable if need be. So I feel like Michael Jordan was such a enigma in the sense that he literally had no weaknesses, not only in his game, but in the fact that he was also coachable as a player, and in the fact that he was a great leader to the team, which I think all contributed to why, he's by far the greatest player to me that we've seen.
Real fast, we have Uncut Hoops in the building. Uncut Hoops, if you'd like to join the panel, just put in the chat and I'll drop the link, and you're welcome to come on. But he asks, what are y'all guys' thoughts on Gilbert Arenas saying KD is greater than Bird?
Man,
Yeah,
please. Man, please. KD, listen, KD is talented. Okay. Let me just say that. KD is talented. We talking about Larry Bird, okay? We talking about a consensus top 5 player who did this right now. We can go back and check Kevin Durant. His rookie year, I don't think the Seattle Seahawks made the playoffs, right? Larry Bird came on to a 29-win team at that time, was the worst in the record, doubled the win output. No Robert Parrish, no Kevin McHale, no DJ, no Danny Ainge. I ain't got nothing to say.
More than doubled, actually.
Hey, appreciate that, Rex. Appreciate that assist.
29 to 61.
Yeah, appreciate that assist. So I ain't got nothing to say on that. Like that right there, I ain't even got to bring in 3 straight MVPs. I ain't got to do that. Nah.
Well, not only 3 straight MVPs, but during the entire decade of the 80s, Larry Bird received 67% of all MVP votes during that decade.
And then let's add this into the equation, right? He's the innovator of the 50-40-90 club, and he did it twice, back-to-back seasons. And this is on the back half of his career when he was dealing with those injuries, right? You give Larry Bird the same amenities today, the same training, the same science, the same technology. This ain't even a conversation. I'm like, come on, man. Gilbert, clickbait. That's all he is. Clickbait.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the better discussion is KD better than Bob McAdoo, because they're essentially the exact same player.
Exact same player. Yep. Same exact player. Yep. I saw the similarities.
Championships, scoring titles. They're the same player. He's a modern version. One thing, you mentioned practice earlier. I loved practice because it was the only time I was able to get on the court. This all comes down to the best person to explain this is Michael Jordan himself. In the middle of the 93 finals, Barkley had a monster game. Help me out, guys. I believe he had like 56 points and like 19 rebounds or something like that in one of the Suns' wins. And they asked Jordan, about how good Barkley was. And Jordan, as you had said earlier, he gave props to his competition. And he said, no, Barkley was every bit as good as he was. But Barkley didn't play the game. What he meant was off the court, to be advertised and marketed as the greatest player in the world. Barkley spat on a little girl in an incident. He threw a guy through a plate glass window in a bar fight. Okay? You cannot be the face of the league doing these things. He sabotaged his own image. And that's what Jordan meant when he said, look, there are other guys who are as good as me, but they don't play the league's game. They don't play by Stern's rules. You have to do it all. It's a business. You're professionals. Remember, they're not basketball players. They're professional basketball players. You must be a professional. And they couldn't play the game. They couldn't hold up their end of the deal. He could.
Yeah, and Robin, I got something to say real quick about it, and then you can go after me. I think KD, in regards to what Rex is saying, all that weird stuff he said that he does on the internet, on the Twitter, with the burner accounts, and then just saying weird stuff about other celebrities I won't get into, but I'm sure you've heard the Scarlett Johansson stories, him just going after the everyday guys on social media. And not to be funny, but he just doesn't present himself very well with how he deals with his grooming, his hygiene. He just doesn't look like a photogenic guy. Now, you could argue, well, he's just that focused on basketball. And I think he is. I think he's an all-time great. I don't think he's as great as Larry Bird, because in my opinion, greatness transcends off the court, let alone what happened on the court. I would still say Larry Bird is a greater on the court player than Kevin Durant by far. But But in regards to the off the court stuff, man, he couldn't even shine Larry Bird's shoes on what he presented and represented for the NBA. It's not even close, in my opinion. What do you got to say about that, Robin?
Yeah, once again, man, this is why we're here, guys, to educate the people, man, and to set the record straight. When guys like Gilbert Arenas continue with this nonsense, all they're doing is continue the narrative that we've been watching over the years now, is pumping up these guys, the current players, this era, and trying to take away from the past eras, and what they accomplished and how they accomplished these things. There's no way on God green earth that Kevin Durant's anywhere near Larry Bird. There's literally nothing that Kevin Durant does on the basketball court better than Larry Bird. He does not rebound the ball better than Larry Bird. He doesn't pass the ball anywhere on the level of a Larry Bird. The shooting of the basketball, we can call that even, okay? So watch, no doubt about it. But in the clutch moments, give me Larry Bird, man. So once again, we'll give the S to Larry Bird there. When we talk about defense, I'm going to go with Larry Bird over Kevin Durant. Larry Bird's a much better help defender, a team defender. He's a more consistent defensive player. He gave more effort. Larry Bird's got all the intangibles that Kevin Durant's been lacking throughout his entire career, which is why he doesn't get respect that he wants, right? He thinks he should be in the GOAT conversation. It's laughable at best, man. Listen, there's no way that Kevin Durant's anywhere on the level of a Larry Bird. The numbers don't matter. When my man Hoop God, you talked about the 50, 40, 90 thing earlier. Think about this, man. Larry Bird and these guys were accomplishing these feats without realizing they were even doing these things. They were doing this in the course of going throughout their careers, man. That's how great these guys were, man. And on hindsight, we look back and say, oh, Larry Bird did this, this, and this. This guy was doing this stuff. Now these guys hunt for these stats. They hunt to do 50, 40, 90s and double-doubles and triple-doubles and all these stats. So the numbers will never tell you the story. Larry Bird accomplished way more than Kevin Durant's ever accomplished. And he's played, 5 more seasons now than Kevin Durant? This stuff is ridiculous, man, that we should even have these conversations, man.
Not just 50, 40, 90, but also averaging double-figure rebounds while doing 50, 40, 90.
A double-double for his career. I mean, but he can't jump, though, remember. He can't even jump high enough to get wet toilet.
Basketball's got nothing to do with jumping.
Exactly.
Got to do with skill.
Yep.
Real fast before Mr. Sense, before you share your take, James Brickner says, we got to reach out to Angry Old Hoops. I have. He has not responded to me. But if y'all want to go and email him and say that I've reached out to him, then please do, because I would love to have him on the show. But I don't know if he knows who I am. Anyway. What's your take on this, Mr. Sense?
Yeah, pretty much what everybody's saying. Well, first of all, I just have to be honest. I have a hard time believing that a lot of the modern superstars would translate to the 90s and 80s, just for the simple fact that the game is so mentally weak now. And when we talk about Kevin Durant, I always think about the Boston series when he got derailed by a little bit of defense, a little bit of physical defense. So, I just did a video basically saying, they talk about this era and how skilled everyone is, but being able to dribble with no one touching you versus being able to dribble with someone hanging all over you, that's 2 different skills. So to me, a player like Larry Bird is not even I'll take Larry Bird 7 days a week over Kevin Durant, And then the other thing I think that's kind of funny is that, mainstream media, you hear them say all the time, well, greatness transcends any era, as if any great player from any era can go to any other era and thrive. However, they say that, and at the same time, they'll diminish somebody like Larry Bird and say, oh, well, he's not quite athletic enough to hang with these modern superstars that we have that are so skilled and so fast and so much more athletic. But I'm like, okay, well, I just thought you just said that greatness transcends any era. So Larry Bird came from the era of men. So to me, comparing him to KD, well, number one, we see he's mentally weak by the fact that, he has to defend himself so much to, regular people like us who just, giving our opinions on basketball. He feels the need to come try to defend every statement against him. So he's mentally weak. And like I said, to me, that Boston series showed that against some physical defense, he would be easily derailed. So it's no comparison to Larry Bird at all.
All right. Again, Uncut Hoops, if you'd like to come on. I didn't. Hoop God, can you mute your but yeah, Uncut Hoops. I don't know if you're still here, if you heard that, but I don't know if you missed it either. If you'd like to come and join the panel or come on the show another time, you're welcome to.
Yo, shout out to Uncut Hoops, man. Shout out to Uncommon Sense, man. Both of them dudes, man. I've been following Uncut Hoops, man, since he was on Instagram. You know what I'm saying? So he's been representing for Michael Jordan for a minute, that kid, man. So much respect to him, man. If he hears this and shit, man. Much respect to Uncommon Sense to you, brother.
Hey, shout out to you as well. Shout out to everybody. This my first live stream, so
yeah,
you know it took me a while to get in here, but yeah, shout out to everybody. Thanks for having me on as well.
Absolutely, man. And for this, I don't know if you heard this before, but I'm trying to make, this is my grand goal, is to make the greatest live stream of Michael Jordan fans on YouTube. I've been colloquially calling myself the Nick Fury of Michael Jordan fan YouTubers. So I'm trying to make a great show. And preemptively speaking, if you're having a good time, I'd love to have you back on in the future.
Absolutely.
All right. So one of the things that we were talking about earlier was the branding, the Wheaties, the Gatorade, and all of that stuff. How much do you think that affected the culture and just brought the iconism, the brand, if you want to say it, the Jordan brand? Do you think that brought it to a level and that has never been seen before? And do you think anything could reach that? And we'll start with Uncommon Sense with that.
I think it's possible to reach that. That's a good question. I felt like the whole Jordan thing, everything was kind of right place in the right time in a sense, coming off of Larry Bird and Magic, having saved the NBA, and then you have this guy come through and kind of take it to the next level. Unfortunately for people coming after Michael Jordan, Jordan kind of took it to a level that's hard to duplicate. But with all the Wheaties and the endorsements, I like to say this: like Jordan's greatness inspired everything around it. So it's like if you look, everything that was associated with Michael Jordan is deemed as great. Even from people talking, Phil Jackson, the front office around Jordan, everything surrounding Jordan gets talked about is great. Because I feel like everybody was inspired by the greatness of Michael Jordan. So even you talk about Nike was inspired to do something that they hadn't done before. I don't know if anybody has seen the movie, what is it, Air, about the whole Nike story. But it seemed that Michael Jordan just inspired all of these products on a different level that we had never seen. So again, it's like I talk about on my channel, is like Michael Jordan actually made basketball become part of what the culture was. It's like back in the 90s, you could go to every court in my city was full of basketball games all times a day. And it's like now I drive past the court and they're empty. And that's amazing to see to me, given where we come from. But I think Michael Jordan and all of those things made basketball literally part of the culture to where you would see it on TV shows. There were tons of basketball movies in the 90s. It's like the culture was centered around basketball, and Michael Jordan was the center of that culture.
Robin, what's your take on that?
Yes, absolutely, man. You know what I'm saying? Once again, my man always continues to speak facts like he always does. And this is what we've been alluding to when we talk about Michael Jordan and the narratives that people try to write now, or they try to rewrite the history now and try to make it seem as if, Michael Jordan wasn't as great as he was and things of that nature. People are on his level. There's no one on Michael Jordan's level. When I was growing up, my mother, she used to talk about the Beatles a lot, and things of that nature. And I wasn't around for these guys, but Michael Jordan was mentioned with things of that, Muhammad Ali, someone like that. Like, these are the people, Michael Jackson, like, this is Michael Jordan. It wasn't just about basketball. He was all of those people. He was an entertainer, man. He was everything, man. He had everything. When Uncommon Sense early said about having all the kind of categories that, some of the all-time legends, maybe they don't check off all 10 boxes. Maybe they check off 8 or 9 of them. Michael Jordan had all the aspects that made you a great off-court personality and great on-court, because he had the game, we all know. But not only with the game, it was the creativity of that game, the artistry that he always played with. It was beautiful to watch Michael Jordan. To this day, you could watch grainy film of Michael Jordan in the 80s, and you can still sit and watch it because it's Michael Jordan, and he always moves different than everybody else. But then off the court, he had everything else too. He had the swag, the charisma. Rex said earlier, he's photogenic. He was a handsome man. You know what I'm saying? He looked good on film. You know what I'm saying? And he had the things, and he was successful in everything he did. We think about Space Jam and all these things, man. He had the energy, man. He was electric. Everyone wanted to be like Mike, man. I mean, it's just like I said, for someone to try to top that or reach that level, the bar is so high. I don't know if you can surpass it. Maybe you can get there, but I don't think anybody ever will, because to have all of those things and to not have any weaknesses in your game, so to speak, or have any weaknesses, so to speak, in how you really represent yourself, you know what I'm saying, as far as your professional appearance, it's hard to top that, man. It really is, because we came at the right time, man.
Facts.
Hoop God, what do you got to say about that?
My bad, gentlemen. I just had like a little minor situation. But I wanted to come back to something real quick, then I'll answer that question. But with the KD thing, right? Because I wanted to mention this. See, basketball, the game is 90% mental, it's 10% physical. That's another separator with me from Bird to KD, because Bird had the mental game. He knew he wasn't a super athletic freak, so he could outthink you. Go listen to Kareem, James Worthy, Byron Scott, Michael Jordan. All of his contemporaries will say he always outthought you. He was always thinking. Even in Magic, his I would say his draft class rival, because they came in 79. Even he was like, when Bird shot that last shot, and then when they played in the finals, they all thought it was going in. Like, Bird was so great that you thought he was gonna make a shot before you thought he was gonna miss it. I just wanted to add that. But back to Jordan, I was thinking about something else too. When Jordan, when he first got drafted, right, and Bobby Knight was like, draft Jordan, play him at center. And then, of course, his upbringing through North Carolina, like James Worthy was like, well, I was better than him for like the first 2 weeks, because he never turned it off. And I love that Roy Williams said it. He the facial expression he made, he was like, he never turned it off. And I'm thinking about a guy who has to activate playoff mode, right? If y'all follow me. Jordan was always in playoff mode. See, that's the difference. He's always in that mode, because if you go out there, and this is something I took from the military, complacency kills. But if you go out there with that mindset every day, like, yo, this game right here is a championship, it's going to yield positive results. But if you go out there and you're, just going through the motions, you're playing in a JV conference, you ain't really worried about nobody, well, you're kind of going to get relaxed. But when you're playing against the cream of the crop and going against a team like the Bad Boy Pistons, it does something to your psyche that, hey, we overcame this hurdle. Oh, no, it's curtains for everybody else. Everybody else finna get the wrap. That's why when he went up against the Knicks, they tried the same thing, right? Because this is something else we got to clear up. Oh, they changed the rules for Jordan. I'm like, did you watch that 92 series they played against the Knicks? Did you see how physical that series was? They changed the rules. I can't tell, because the Knicks tried the same tactics. But you got to understand, Michael Jordan is a lion. And a lion does not back down from hyenas. They go head first, and they're going for blood. So, and I always say this, the team goes as the leader goes. And if the leader is not, if he's not putting forth that effort, well, why should the team? But it's not just on the court, it's off court too. Practice, how you carrying yourself, how you conducting yourself. Are you gonna be available for your team? Or does the coach have to wonder, like, man, is this dude gonna get in trouble? You have to worry about that with Jordan, because he was dedicated. You know what I'm saying? He was dedicated to upholding this off-court image as well as his on-court image. So, yeah, like, I just want to echo what Uncommon Sense and Rob said. Like, Michael Jordan, he set the standard so high that now you have to have liars and narrative pushers trying to rewrite history. But with the thanks of, the good brother Dart assembling the event, we're not going to allow these narrative pushers to rewrite history on our watch.
Yeah. Rex, what's your take?
Well, what it is they manipulate, it means other fan bases, manipulate phrases to make it suit their needs. When they say they changed the rules for Jordan, they didn't change the rules for Jordan. They made rules changes that benefited players like Jordan, because they wanted a game that was more exciting for the casual fan, because they're the ones that were paying the cable subscriptions. They're the ones that were buying the jerseys and the hats and all that. So but there's always been changes to the game. From the shot clock in 1954, that benefited a lot of players. Do you sit there and say, oh, well, the only reason they won was, the only reason Boston won was because they put in a shot clock, because they had the number one offense in the league? Well, that wasn't the point of it, but that was a result, yes. But you see, they love to go backwards. Fans so often go backwards. They don't follow chronological order. They look at it backwards, say, oh, well, they changed the rules for Jordan. No, they changed rules to make the game more palatable. And Jordan, with others like Dominique and players like that and Clyde Drexler, the mid-sized players started getting their moment. And he was the best. So it just shined more for him. The rules were not made for him. There is a specific difference there. And when people want to sit there and they talk about, as you like to say, that other guy's longevity. Well, what you just spoke to, that killer instinct, that playing every game like it means the world and leading your team, not in points, which he did, but being intent before the game. I remember he one time said the leading in points was great, and that did a lot for his career and his viability. But the one thing that he learned at North Carolina was when you go on the court, he wanted to lead his team in effort. And when you play that way, you're not lasting 21 years. I don't care who you are.
Can't find that on the stat sheet.
Okay, Wilt Chamberlain is probably the greatest modern athlete possibly in the world, definitely in the United States. He lasted as long as Jordan. Bill Russell essentially lasted less than Jordan. These guys gave it their all the time. And your body breaks down. It's not a measured, we talked once, Dart, about priorities. And Jordan's priority was to win, to be the best, to give the most, to put it out there. Iverson as well. Kobe as well. Players like the other guy, respecting your wordage, your verbiage.
LeBron.
These guys have a more measured style. They prioritize longevity, health, long-term fitness, long-term sustainability.
Steroid.
And that's the difference. You can't criticize a player like because of their, how they prioritize their existence.
Yeah, for me, real fast to bring it back into the initial question, I don't think that anyone is going to have as much impact if you look at the numbers in regards to maybe there'll be more because everything is bigger over time with people, businesses, money, etc. It's going to grow in that respect. Could somebody reach Michael Jordan's heights? And I'm not saying this is what you said, uncommon sense. I think that maybe somebody could, but I think you have to take into perspective what those numbers actually mean to a percentage of the population and the impact of the United States or the world. And a lot of people will just go and look at the raw numbers like they do now with points per game or longevity. Now, for the people that don't know, I'm a big fan of George Mikan just for his initial impact on the game of basketball. I'm not saying he could beat a lot of these normal guys if you put them in or more modern guys if you put them in a vacuum, but people don't understand that he was just by percentage, not to get into math because I'm not really that kind of guy, but he was a monster scoring points. But there were things that impact the game like the shot clock, etc., where they slowed the game down and it was the slowest time in NBA history. So when you just look at raw numbers in comparison to the off the court impact, because there are less people in the world, because the value of the dollar amongst other currencies, and not to nerd out on this, what I'm getting at, without going down that rabbit hole, is that the numbers might be bigger, but it doesn't mean the same thing. And a lot of people don't understand that concept, is that you might look and say, well, okay, well, LeBron James, there's, I don't know, I'm exaggerating maybe a little bit, but there's 1 billion people in the world that have seen LeBron James played covering over, China, because they got the deals with the government, et cetera, in India and such. But it doesn't mean the same thing as how it got to that point with Michael Jordan specifically. But with the rule changes on top of that, with the impact off the court, yeah, like you're saying, Rex, to emphasize and amplify what you're saying, is that Michael Jordan was so good that they based the entire NBA and what the NBA is now, practically speaking, off of what Michael Jordan did. Because otherwise it wasn't selling like it has been now until Michael Jordan made that change, or David Stern did, due to the inspiration of Michael Jordan's greatness. And people like to just throw that to the side and say, well, LeBron is just better, or some people argue Kobe's better. No, man, Michael Jordan is greater. Michael Jordan is the guy that made these guys. You wouldn't know these guys. It'd still be a center-based league, which is trending to now again, without Michael Jordan. The last 20 years has been guard-centric. It's going back to the centers, the big man. And I guess the transition to this, uncommon sense, do you think that the league is trending a little different? And do you think that a big man can, and we talked about this a little bit before, but do you think a big man can sell as well as a more average-sized person?
To be honest, just right off the top of my head, I don't believe a big man could sell as much as a closer to average height NBA player, just because I think people in general relate more to that average height guy. Again, going back to Michael Jordan, seeing him be 6'6" and jumping over 7-footers, that's kind of what made everybody, so to speak, dream they could fly. Is having someone that's closer to your height doing things that everybody wish they could do. And like I said, Michael Jordan pretty much inspired everyone to try and do that. Again, in the 90s, everyone's playing basketball, including myself. I'm 5'11", and just to get to the point to where I could dunk, I was practicing that every day because of Michael Jordan.
We the same height, bro.
Oh, really? So yeah, I think it would be hard for a big man to garner that same popularity as a smaller player, because I just feel like people in general can't relate to that size. And I think it's less impressive to see a 7-footer, dunking over another 7-footer. Even though a lot of the bigger players in today's league are more skilled technically, whatever that means, more skilled technically, again, I think it's just still not that impressive to see, Kevin Durant shooting over another player his height. It's impressive to see Michael Jordan rise up and shoot in the 7-footer's face. So guys like Allen Iverson, Allen is 6'1" or something like that. To see him going through the lane amongst the giants, I feel like that's what inspires people, because people can relate to it.
What do you guys say about Robin?
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with what he's saying about people want to relate to people who are closer to their physical stature. That's why I think Steph Curry is taking off with popularity over the last 10 years or so. He's more relatable. His game is more relatable. It's easier for the average person to go outside and practice 3-point shooting than it is for them, like you said, to fly through the air like Michael Jordan. Even though we were going to go out there and we were going to lower that rim and we were going to try to do those dunks anyway out there. So yeah, it definitely makes it more relatable. And for me, I think about Victor Wembanyama, something like that. And when I watch him move on the basketball court, to me, it doesn't look the same as, like I said, if you watch somebody who's like 6'5" or 6'6", 6'7", so to speak, and you see them coming through the lane or crossing over or doing a spin move or, things of that nature. They're floating through whatever it is, man. Like you say, they're taking a jump shot and they're shooting over people who are a little bit taller than them. To me, it just looks a little bit different when I see, someone like a Wembanyama or a Porzingis, things of this nature. When they're moving, it's, very sweeping, the motions that they use and almost awkward sometimes. to me when I watch them. Not saying that knocks on their game or anything of that nature. They're not going to be good players. But like I said, I just watched some of these guys move. Chet Holmgren, some of these kinds of longer, lankier kinds of players to me. So, yeah, I don't know if they'll be as marketable, some of those taller players, as it would have been for Michael Jordan. But that's also because of what? Because of Michael Jordan, because he changed the way the game is thought about and how we feel about these players. Back in the day, everybody kind of wanted to be like a Bill Russell. Or, the bigger guys kind of dominated. George Mikins, they were all bigger guys. The Bob Pettits, what I'm saying? The Will Chamberlains, man, the Kareem Abdul-Jabbars, the Willis Reeds, these kinds of guys, the Bill Waltons, man. So, maybe they wanted to be like bigger players. And then you had the Magic Johnsons, the Larry Birds, the Dr. J, some of these smaller kinds of players that people wanted to be like, man. So, yeah.
Hoop God, what do you got to say about it?
Yeah, man. I want to echo Uncommon and what Rob both said about the marketability towards the little guy versus the big man, and it goes back to what Rex said earlier, because when you look at that appeal, it's always going to be the smaller guy is going to be more appealing, because customarily, let's just be honest, from an optical perspective, the big man you're going to think is easier because he's closer to the goal. Now, I don't want nobody in the comments to misquote me, because all due respect to Mr. Mike and Bill Russell, Dream, and Nikola Jokic, I can't name them all, but when you're looking at the bigger guy versus the smaller guy, he's taking his shots predominantly from the perimeter, the mid-range, versus the bigger guy who's predominantly close to the goal. So in order for that smaller guy to be more impactful, he has to do more. He has to give you that wow factor, that quick little move, or if he get to the goal and go up and under, or like Michael Jordan, just dunk over your head. When you're looking at the common man, that's going to be like, oh, wait, so you're telling me I can do that instead of being a giant? Because, let's be honest, everybody ain't finna be 6'10", 6'9", and so on and so forth. So when you look at a Michael Jordan, you look at a Zeke, a Steph Curry, a Iverson, to see those guys go in there and do what they're doing amongst those giants, it's going to be more relatable to that smaller man, because when you're watching that game, it's like, okay, I know I can't be the big guy, but, yo, wait a minute. I'm hearing little kids now, like what Common Sense was saying, like back in the day when they still play ball outside. I would go to a gym and just kind of like just trying to, like they say, gauge the environment. You want to check the temperature. I'm seeing kids shooting 30-footers like from the timeline. I'm like, bruh, this is Wardell Stephen Curry. This is him right here. And it's taking me back to my age coming up, where we were shooting the fadeaways and then transition into the crossover like Iverson. But I'm like, bro, these kids, I'm like, Steph Curry really didn't change the whole landscape of the game, that you got these kids like shooting all these 30-footers. But I'm like, if they would do that, but sprinkle in a little bit more of the, the mid-range, I think you'd be a better player. But when you just look at like who you want to market and be appealing, like it's always going to be the smaller guy, because like I say, when you take that majority vote, you're going to think it's harder for him versus the big man. And it's not being biased, because I love the big guys. You got to have no rebounds, no rings. But if you just based off that marketability and that appeal, it's going to be the little guy, man. So that's my take on that.
What do you guys say, Rex?
Number one, nobody roots for Goliath.
True.
Okay. Something I just thought of. What kind of difference would it have made if Steph Curry had done Space Jam 2?
I think LeBron was better for it. I think it was not a good decision in general, but I think LeBron would have been better for it between those two.
I think if Steph Curry would have done it, it wouldn't have outweighed Jordan, but it would have resonated on a higher degree.
That's what I mean. It would have resonated more with kids. And that This is really the genius of whoever decided these things. The Gatorade, okay, that's Gatorade. That's being drank by athletes who already know who Jordan is. All right. People don't think the batteries. All right. Kids' toys. The cereal. Kids. Space Jam. Kids. You're indoctrinating the next generation to keep it going. Those were marketing just pure gold.
Mhm.
McDonald's. Those were genius. But remember, the thing about Jordan, this is the difference. Talking about the average size, the big guys and all that. This is what I was saying earlier. Advertising is about the masses. You advertise to the people. Marketing depends on the impression you make in the meetings with the business people. When a 7-1 guy comes walking in to take the meeting, there's a the business people, they look, oh, hey, he's a basketball player, and you're set apart. But when someone like Jordan, who's tall, but he's not outrageously tall, he's basically the same height as Tom Selleck, as John Wayne, these guys. He walks in, good looking, nice suit, college educated, well spoken. He wins people over in those boardrooms. And that's the marketing dollars. When you get the marketing dollars, then you get the advertising that goes worldwide. It was a quote, and I want to say Magic made it, but my memory is fuzzy, so maybe it wasn't Magic, but talked about how Magic and Bird got people around the world paying attention to the game, but Jordan hooked them. They turned their heads to pay attention to it because of Magic and Bird. But then once they watched it, it was Jordan that created the frenzy, that got them hooked and got them not turning away. So there was a buildup there. And when you talk about people now, there's no buildup. You're at a point. It's all changing with the internet, computers, all of that. Advertising is different. The way they go about the marketing is different. The way people watch is different. It's not NBC, CBS. It's totally different way of watching the games, of being a fan. We never had this stuff. The only time I had conversations like this back in the 80s, and even if you want to go back as far as the late 70s, it was at the playground. That's where you had these conversations. And they were happenstance. It depended on who showed up that day, who lost at the same time. So you're all standing there while the other game is going. And you didn't get this back and forth. And this back and forth, it spreads knowledge, it educates, but we're also doing the exact same thing that Stern did. We're marketing the game. We're marketing these players right now. People are popping in to these chats. People are watching the videos from all of our channels, and we are promoting it just like Stern wanted. We're carrying it on.
We're marketing the facts. We're promoting the facts. Remember that.
Yeah.
One more time for the people in the back.
They know, man.
Who've got to turn this video on for that? No, but
Hey, timing is everything.
yeah.
Situation and circumstance.
So no, I totally agree that in respect to the game and talking about what you can or can't do, like especially hearing everybody, I'm the tallest guy on this panel. I'm a little bit under 6'4", so I can't dunk now. I'm in my late 30s, but I probably could have. I could if I tried, but practiced it. But I haven't tried to do it in years. But I used to be able to do that. But that's whatever. That nobody cares about that. What I'm getting at is that I do believe that the things that a guy that you can relate to more affects how you think about things. And how much you're inclined to empathize and say, well, that could be me, or, maybe I could do that, versus somebody like a Wilt Chamberlain larger than life, and you could just tell that he is just bigger and better than you, or however you want to say it, in respect to the game. But one guy to go against the grain a little bit that I think was a great marketing piece that was big, and he still is Shaquille O'Neal. Now, I don't know if he, in ways, I don't want to say he always did this, but in ways he kind of didn't take himself so seriously. I don't want to go as far as say self-deprecate, but to the point of is that he seemed to not be the surly. Now, at times, obviously, on the court, he was. People were scared to death of him on the court, generally speaking. But off the court persona, he seemed to be a likable, relatable person. And I think that I can't think of anybody else that was marketed that way other than Shaquille O'Neal that was a typical big man. If you would say, because I guess some of the newer guys, maybe you can argue, but I wouldn't even say that, the 7-footers plus. He's the only guy that I could think of that was sold and marketed, and is still marketing extremely well, at least from my perspective, versus a lot of other guys. I think really off the top of my head, I think he's second to Michael Jordan or maybe Magic Johnson. He's in the top 3 of marketability of guys that are around today. And not to take away from the Michael Jordan on-court greatness, off-court greatness, but I think that he's really the only outlier versus a lot of other guys like the Larry Birds, the Magic Johnsons. Not that they weren't big, but they weren't as ginormous like the Shaqs of the world or the Wilt Chamberlains or the Bill Russells of the time. But I'm gonna switch up the order a little bit. Hoop God, what do you think was the number one thing of Michael Jordan's on-court greatness? If you had to say what was the one thing that helped transcend him to the icon that he is today, what would it be?
I'm gonna combine them too. His competitive grit, because those are things you can't teach. You're born with that.
Okay.
It's that the competitiveness, the grit, the leadership, and it's like, I gotta leave you with this one too, because the other guy we know what his excuses. I never have enough help, or I had a fake broke hand. I mean, I don't see how you do that after game one when you grab a chair, but somehow you broke your hand. But anywho, when Michael Jordan lost to Larry Bird Celtics in that double overtime, he didn't say he lost. He said, I didn't lose the game, I just ran out of time. That was his mindset. See, it's a whole different dynamic. You can't teach that. That's something that you're born with. Now, with the right coaching, the right structure, you can maximize it. You get Michael Jordan. But when you have someone else who tries to circumvent the process and take shortcuts, it tells you a little bit about their upbringing, that this particular person is used to getting handed things over to him versus another guy who had to earn it. Because when you earn it, not only are the people going to see it, not only do your peers see it, but it's like from that macrocosmic perspective, it separates you from everybody. Because if you go back and listen to what Magic said, he was like, Michael Jordan, he was a dog, but once he got the dogs to go along with him, that's when they took off. And this is how I got credence to that. When they were playing in the '84 Olympic trials, I don't know if y'all know this, but it was all the guys from that '84 and '85 drafts, Chris Mullins, Patrick Ewing, Alvin Robertson, all them guys. They played the cream of the crop in the NBA in '84. Magic Johnson, Bird, Isaiah, Lambeer, all of them. They went 8-0 against them, led by Jordan and Hakeem and all of them. Now, I say that to say this. Jordan has that. He has the adequate talent like that against Bird in '86. We might be having a different conversation. But it's the mentality that Michael Jordan had instilled in him, that he never thought he lost. He thought he just ran out of time, versus this other guy, all these excuses. And you got to have these DJ narrative spinners out here like, man, what are we? This ain't even basketball now. It's politics, So that's my take on that one.
What about you, Robin?
Yeah, I mean, listen, it's really hard to, just say, one thing that makes Michael Jordan, who he was or who he is as a person, because with great athletes and, and great people in general, there are many different attributes that make them who they are. The thing about Michael Jordan that made him so great is that he was greater at all of these things than most other people that we've ever seen in the history of the world in any kind of aspect of life. So, when he talks about the grit, and those kinds of things, that's right on the money. The competitiveness of Michael Jordan, the heart inside of his chest, man, that's Michael Jordan because that's his core. That's what made him so great. It wasn't all flash and pizzazz with Michael Jordan, man. Getting cut from the high school team and getting picked on by your older brother and getting beat. I used to do that to my brothers, man. I was the oldest of 4 boys, man. I was never going to let them just beat me. They was going to have to earn it. So what happens? All of a sudden, it got to a point where I couldn't even beat them any longer. Michael Jordan learned from these kinds of things, man. This is who made Michael Jordan who he ultimately became, the lessons that his parents instilled inside of him. That's Michael Jordan. All the other stuff that came around, that came with Michael Jordan, that's not who he was. It was those lessons that he learned in his life early on, that development is what made him so great. That toughness, that grit, the fact that he always wanted to be out there on the court, man, that's Michael Jordan, man. That's why he earned the respect of the people. He's the people's champ, Michael Jordan, because of the way that he went about his business, man. We did an interview one time, Dark, man, early when I first, started interacting with you, man. We did an interview one time, and you asked me the similar kind of question. What really do I remember about Michael Jordan? What, mattered the most about him? What did I always remember about him? And I told you the same thing, man. It was his grit, man, his toughness, man, the way that he approached the game, the effort that he gave consistently, man, on both sides of the ball, man. That's what made Michael Jordan great, man. That's what we always appreciate about him, man. He always was out there giving his all, man. He showed a love of the game, man. He respected the fans, man. So shout out to him, man.
Yeah, if I had to say one underlying thing, I'd have to agree. It was his determination. It was his tenacity to continue to improve, to continue to evolve, to continue to just be the best in his time and space, which I won't go on a sidebar, but some people pretend like they don't understand what time and space means, which I won't say their names right now. But he absolutely dominated everybody in ways, and especially when he started winning the championships in the 90s, he was on top of the world. He was arguably the most famous person in the world next to Michael Jackson. And the reason why, like Michael Jackson in a different capacity, is because they were always trying to be the best and be perfect. And in ways, they were perfect. In comparison to everyone else in the world. Obviously, nobody's perfect, but they were as perfect as you could be, realistically speaking, in respect to always putting their best foot forward and just being better than everyone else around them in respect to their success. Uncommon Sense, what do you got to say about that?
I guess for me, one of the things that I think kind of encompasses is so many things, but I would say, Michael Jordan made everyone feel like the impossible was possible in every sense. It's like some of the plays he would make, the shots he would make, the fact that even if the team was down, you still felt like somehow, some way, Michael Jordan was going to come back and win. And, I think that the last play of his career in Chicago could not have really summed up his career better than getting that steal and coming down the court, no timeout, making the play and holding the pose. To me, that summed up everything about Michael Jordan's career, is that, he always made the impossible feel possible some way. And again, I think that encompasses everything from how he played the game to his determination, to the fact that he never, ever gives up, to his leadership. Because to me, if you just even look at after they became a championship caliber team, if you look at everybody who was on that team, even in moments when they were down, they never looked defeated.
Nope.
And
Never.
as it's been referenced several times, unlike some players that we see, I feel like that leadership is taken on by the rest of the team, and that attitude is taken on by the rest of the team. So Michael Jordan's, once they became a championship team, even when they were down, they never looked defeated. Like they all had that same presence of Michael Jordan. And part of that was knowing that they had Michael Jordan on the team, but part of that was, them taking on his personality too, of like, it's not over till it's over. If there's a half a second on the clock, we got a shot. So yeah, I think he just made the impossible seem possible for a lot of people.
Hey, Dart, I wanted to speak on something you said earlier about Michael Jackson. I was like, is it not ironic that they made that video jam during the playoffs?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. That was a funny one. Michael Jackson was hilarious in his own way. Rex, what do you got to say about this?
Well, first, Michael Jackson also had Magic Johnson.
Remember the time, yeah.
One of his, playing the Pharaoh.
Yep.
Also, we need to do a show in the future at some point about that whole 84 Olympic thing, because that is the most misrepresented story of all time.
Okay.
But that's another subject. Yeah, well, I mean, basically we just keep saying the same thing over and over because it's just so blindly obvious. When you have the perfect specimen playing at the perfect time for the most perfect commissioner in any sport ever, you get this result. It's not only having the talent. There are plenty of talented guys that we have never spoke of on this show because they were not advertised or marketed properly. There are plenty of people that we all know the name of who are advertised and marketed but can't back it up on their specific field, court, whatever it may be, rink. It was he had the perfect upbringing, the perfect combination, the parents and the older brother. His older brother was a better athlete than he was. He just didn't grow. He's 5'8". He was, he had what it was. The more I look at it, Jordan was the perfect follower for so long. Everyone talks about his ego, his will to win, all this. Oh, yeah, that's all great, whatever. His willingness to listen and his willingness to learn is why he kept getting better all the way to the end till he decided to finally hang it up. And other players basically play the same in year 21 that they played in year 5.
Steroids.
Okay? Constant improvement does not come from thinking you're better than everyone. Constant improvement comes from checking yourself and listening to your elders and your betters. All right?
Hey, Rex, repeat that phrase again, because I think some of them in the comments didn't catch that.
Which one? I'm sorry.
About listening to your elders is how you improve.
Yes. Listening to when you're young, you know everything. When you get to middle age, you actually get knowledge and you know that you didn't know everything.
I think I'm middle-aged now.
When you get to my age, you have the wisdom of knowing that you will never know everything. Okay? As he matured, he had the people around him. And the only thing I can say is if his father was going to be taken from him, it's a good thing it happened in 93 rather than 83. Because I think maybe we don't get the same player, the same person.
That's a great point.
If he had to be taken at all. But that's the difference. He always strove to find the basketball minds. He went back to Dean Smith every summer and played at Chapel Hill every summer with all the other alumni from Chapel Hill. Every summer. Until Roy Williams went to Kansas in what was that, 89 or 90, around there. He was there too. You had multiple. You had Eddie Fogler there. Okay. You had just a brain trust of knowledge. You had older players like Bobby Jones, Bob McAdoo. You had Jimmy Black, who helped him with his ball handling. You had all these guys, Kenny Smith later, Brad Doherty. You had all these guys that would come back together, and you learn. You understand more of the game when you surround yourself with these people. The one thing I hate about the other guy, he is a phenomenal player. Okay? He is an amazing athlete. His longevity is unparalleled. His excellence over time is unparalleled. But when you sit there and you make the statement, I always make the right play. Okay? To a fan, that means something different, I guess. But as a former bench player, someone that I gave everything, I had a career-ending injury in practice, okay? That's how hard I went because I didn't get to play games. My fight wasn't to get minutes on the court. My fight was to get from the third team to the second team. I fought to be the guy to come in for 6 minutes. Okay, and my will to win was just as much as anyone else's. And then to sit there and hear a player who was great, all-time great, who's been given everything since the age of 16, to turn around and dump on his teammates and say, well, I always make the right play, which is low-key, passive-aggressive, saying it's my teammates' fault. If we're not winning, it's their fault because I always make the right play. That's what he's saying. That's what his teammates hear. That's what bench players hear. And as a former bench player, that really rubs me the wrong way.
Well said. Gentlemen on the panel, if y'all are open to it, I was going to open up the lines for people to call in, and if y'all are not, that's fine. Just let me know. But the priority are the people that have done super chats and are members of any of our channels. So
I'll be right back.
Okay. So if you're a member of any of our channels or have super chatted, I saw a super chat to Robin earlier, you have first priority if you'd like to come on. Otherwise, we'll let somebody else on. And depending on the traffic of people that are trying to come on, we will do one question at a time. If not, we'll let somebody on and just ask questions in general. But we will be shutting this off soon.
Hey, Doug, can I say something real quick?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I just want to say something about what Rex was saying, man, because you know Rex be getting me started sometimes, man, because he be trying to take away from Michael Jordan's greatness, man, when he be trying to divvy out the credit to everybody sometimes. Yes, sit down, Rex, and listen to me. So we must understand when we talk about great people, individuals, right? When we talk about, let's think about an award show, so to speak, right? When you get an award, right, whatever the award may be, what most likely happens on most cases? The individual, whatever it is, they walk up, they receive the award, and what do? They give a little speech, maybe a minute, a couple minutes long, whatever the case may be. And what do most of them do? They go down a laundry list of people that they thank for getting them to where they are. Yep. No one gets anywhere in life without people helping you and giving you guidance throughout the ways. So when we think about Michael Jordan and we have these conversations, sometimes we get on the borderline of almost taking away from Michael Jordan and trying to give people too much credit for what Michael Jordan accomplished by saying, oh, well, Michael Jordan came in this circumstance and things of that nature. And yes, we said earlier that he came at the right time, so to speak. But that doesn't take away from what Michael Jordan achieved and all the people that gave him a hand getting to that point. This is what people do when they reach a certain part in life. They thank everyone that came with them or helped them along the ways, man. They had backgrounds, they had upbringings, they had coaches, they had mentors, whatever the case may be, a teacher, whoever it was. So we must keep these things in mind, man.
Real fast, I don't know if you want to respond to that, Rex, or not, but so for the people on my channel, because this is being live streamed to multiple channels, you can see it in the chat on the side here. what the actual address is. I know you can't click on it, but if you want to call in, it's probably easiest if you go and come onto my channel real fast. You don't have to like or subscribe or anything. Just click on the link. It's in my live chat.
Hey, Stevie K, mind your business, man. Don't worry about me, okay? Worry about bettering yourself.
What?
No, this dude.
The chat's going crazy, man. I think we got invaded by the fan club. You know, some of these crazy people with their crazy opinions and their narratives, you know.
Hey, Luke God is multitasking.
Yeah,
right? If you were multitasking, you'd be making money right now rather than listening to us.
Hey, Rex, that's above his comprehension. Don't make him hurt himself, man.
Alex Pub P, I don't know if it looks like you might not have your audio and video on. Can you hear us?
Yeah, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yo.
Oh, yeah. Thank you for having me on. I'm a big fan of sports and fitness rants on Common Sense. Michael Jordan fans are the best. So I have a couple things. I've been listening to you guys, and I don't, as far as likability, I don't know if you guys touched on that subject, because we all know what LeBron has said, right? When he lost in the 2011 finals about everybody's living a boring life, right? Like, does that even, how does that, how do I explain it? How does that resonate to people? I know how it resonates to us because, you know, we obviously have Jordan as the GOAT, but
I don't.
No, well, okay. Well, excuse me, sorry. But yeah, so how, like, the likability, how much of the pie, a percentage of the pie does that, you know what I'm saying? Like, how does it calculate in the overall picture of being a GOAT?
Can I cook real fast? So LeBron, during that time period, in my opinion, because there's no other thing that I can make sense of why he would be such an a-hole, to put it frankly, is that, and in my opinion, I think that LeBron is the greatest heel in NBA history in wrestling terms. He is the greatest bad guy in wrestling, or in wrestling terms, because there's no way that you're saying this to everybody and that people are going to like you. The only reason that a lot of people like LeBron is because he was a big bad guy, particularly after the decision within the 2011 timeframe, like you're saying, where he's hating on people because he had lost. There is no other way, in my opinion, that he would be saying that stuff without trying to sell that he is the villain. Because otherwise you're just a sucker for saying that stuff because it's just dumb. I think he did it on purpose, personally.
Yeah, well, this is the marketing. The angel, so to speak, has already been determined. There's nothing he can do on the court or off or combination thereof that is going to knock Jordan off the pedestal. So if you can't be the angel, be the devil.
Hey, Dart, I respectfully disagree. He ain't got nothing on Hollywood Hogan, and I'm talking about Manchester Beach, 1996. Hear me out. Hey, y'all, hear me out, man. Hear me out. This is my childhood, not to digress. But when he came in, if y'all can't go on YouTube, look at the energy when he came in, when Macho Man and Sting were and Luger, when they were losing to the Outsiders. If you see how they erupted when he walked out there, right? He does the ripping off the shirt and all that. Like, yo, the fans is going crazy. And then that man just does the leg drop on Macho Man. It's almost like, bro, it's like you seeing your Superman just destroy America. I'm sorry. He ain't got nothing on Hogan.
No,
I do that same thing to my kids every day I come home from work.
Now, just real fast, before everyone else speaks, I'm not saying he's a better heel than Hulk Hogan. I just said he's the best heel in the NBA.
Oh, okay, I got you.
Yeah. No. I'm not comparing it to wrestling because wrestling is its own art. Anyway, Robin or Uncommon Sense, you have anything to say about this?
Yeah, I guess I would say his likability, I think it factors in a little bit, but to be honest, I think if his game was what he says it is and what everybody tries to tell us it is, that would override his likability. And I kind of give the example of, when everybody watched The Last Dance and saw, how some people might say cruel Michael Jordan could be to his teammates in certain situations. Now, if Michael Jordan wasn't winning, then that how he treated his teammates would be a much bigger deal. But the fact that he was winning and delivering, to me, is his game spoke for itself. So no matter what you thought about him as a person, no matter what you thought about his attitude or whatever, what you can't say is that he wasn't a phenomenal basketball player. With LeBron James, I feel like his likability is only adding to the fact that his game is not what he says it is.
Exactly.
So it's like, okay, you already are not as great as you're trying to tell everybody you are, and then you're making people not like you on top of that.
Question for the panel. I'm taking a quote from Machiavelli, Nikolai Machiavelli, the politician, because I got his book. Is it better to be feared or to be loved?
It's easier to be feared than to be loved, and often it has more impact, in my opinion.
Now, the reason I'm saying that, Dart, is because when you want to be loved, well, people they're not gonna feel that sense of how do I want to say it, that trepidation when you walk in the room. And if you go listen up, I think it was Judd Boosler. I think that was the one. It was when they kind of gave him his little clip. He was like, the SOB was crazy. He said, but when you got on the court, it's like you wanted to follow him. And I'm saying that because to me, Jordan was more like a military leader. He's gonna praise you in public. He's gonna give you all to do. He's not gonna shame you in public. In private, whole different ball game. And when you understand that concept, it's like, okay, this man gonna go to bat for me in public, but behind closed doors, he demands perfection. I.e., Horace Grant. Like, if you mess up in one play, you got this screaming devil. But it's why? Because your styles and it makes your habits. When you do these things in practice, it's gonna carry over onto the court. So when you go out there, you're prepared for battle because why? He done put you through all the rigmarole, all the I would say the training regimens, the scenarios, and again, I forgot who said it. I think it was either Uncommon or Rob. But if you look at John Paxson, if you look at Steve Kerr, when they hit those timely shots, you didn't. Their body language wasn't, oh, what do I do? They shot those shots like they shot that shot 500 times in practice. It was just second nature. I just wanted to say that.
That's true. That's true. Facts.
Robin, you got anything to say about this?
Yeah, well, listen, on my channel, I've said, and shout out to you, man, once again, man, for bigging me up. But, I've said on my channel before that 2011 finals, man, the way that it went down, the things that he said in the post-game press conference, the comments that he made, man, to me, it all culminates and just, once again, it just highlights this is LeBron James, man. People act like, it's just been going on for a couple of seasons now. We're going all the way back to 2011. And even beyond that, he's been doing this nonsense, man. And those are some of the most disgusting comments for a superstar of his caliber to make against the commoners, the people, us. We're the ones that have to say so here, man. He doesn't seem to understand that. We're the ones that's going to tell him or put him in his place, so to speak, and really set the record straight like we're doing now, man. So when he makes those comments talking about people have to go back to their boring lives, man, he makes a fatal mistake, once again, believing that everyone else in this planet really worships him and that we're not billionaires or millionaires and our lives are terrible, man. This is the disease of a LeBron James fan club and the LeBron James mentality. Everything revolves around money, materialism, fame, what they can get off of somebody else or from the game of basketball, or what he can get for the game, not what he can give to the game. So, yes, those comments were terrible, man, and it just adds more fuel, more receipts, so to speak, for us to file against LeBron James and why he never got the love back. Rex, you said something about, how people were, he was playing the role of the bad guy. The problem for LeBron James was that he tried to play the role of the bad guy, but then he realized he didn't want that role. He didn't want to be the bad guy. And when he tried to get the love back from the fans, what happened? It backfired in his face.
It backfired, yep.
It backfired on him because he had lost the respect of the people, because of the way he went about his career. And ever since then, the flopping, the load managing, the team hopping, the pointing the finger at the fans, getting them ejected from the stands, walking off the court early, all of that culminates into what we see before us right now in his 21st season. The man is still an embarrassment. Are you kidding me right now?
He wanted to be Darth Vader, but it turned out Kylo Ren.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
I just
no, you're
wanted-
good. You're good. Yeah, go.
Sports and Fitness Rants brought out something that I thought is important. To me, when you're in any form of entertainment, when you decide to go that route, to me, people are motivated by either one or two things. They either really love that thing or they love the possibilities of what that thing can do for them. And to me, LeBron James falls into the category as he loves what basketball brings to him from a praise standpoint, which is why he's always fishing for that praise. Michael Jordan loved the game of basketball, which is why he was playing 82 games so many, which is why he played so hard, which is why everything in his life was dedicated toward being a better basketball player. So I feel like all you got to do is listen to Michael Jordan interviews and listen to a lot of the stuff that LeBron James say, and you will see that LeBron is more, or at least it feels like it. LeBron seems to be more interested in what basketball brings to him versus what he can do for the game of basketball.
You're on mute, Hoop God. You're still on mute.
Oh, my bad. Hey, Common, when you were saying that, right, this just popped up in my brain. I think we got a new accolade for that other guy. We got to start calling him the MV Me. I think that is a perfect accolade. That is a perfect accolade for him, because from what Rod said, from what Alex said, for Dart and Rick, what all you guys have said, right, I think it can all be combined to the MV Me. That's what I'm gonna start calling him.
No.
MV Me. Hey, yo.
You already missed that live stream. He's the ghost, the greatest of sometimes.
Hey, yo, listen, I enjoyed this dialogue, man. I gotta take my mom and the missus out. I'll be ready next week, man. Y'all have a great day, man. Peace.
Hey, you
All
too.
right, man. Take it easy. Sir.
Absolutely, man. Real fast, I think I misspoke a little bit. So I wouldn't say he was the greatest heel. He had the greatest heel turn because again, like to what you guys are saying, yeah, he did it, and then he didn't want the smoke of being the guy that's hated on by everybody. But yeah, if anyone else wants to call in, you're welcome to. I'll drop the link again. If not, do you have another question, Alex? And then we'll shutting this off soon. If after that,
it's not really a question, more like a comment. So, what do you guys think? Or I guess it is a question. What do you guys think of? Like, there has to be a certain. The more the media says how great he is, to me, the less I believe it. So the more people say, like, for example, if I keep telling you guys every stream or every moment I'm on that I'm rich, at some point you're gonna believe, you know what, this guy might not have that much money as he's talking about, right? So I don't know what the proper term is, but the more I hear that he's the GOAT, the less I believe it, and the less I know that they know that he's not. You understand? Maybe I'm not saying it correctly, but the more they keep saying it, the more it's not. They don't believe it because they have to repeat it. They have to repeat it and repeat it and repeat it, right?
Well, and also to that, they're repeating it in year 21.
Exactly.
By year 21, it should be, oh yeah, look at, yeah, he's a GOAT. We've had over 2 decades of this.
Yeah.
No one should, if it were true, no one should be having to say it, like convinced of it. But to the question, going back, he was asking the panel, would you rather be loved or feared? The best response I ever heard to that was, being loved is for my family. Being feared is for my enemies. For my teammates, I want to be respected.
Yeah. Yo, I'll just say, about that real quick, about the, things you guys were mentioning about LeBron James always being, told and hyped up as the greatest of all time and stuff like that. That's the whole point here. You know what I'm saying? And that's why we're here, because this is what we have to stand up against. We're standing up against the media, the mainstream, and the narratives that they continue to pump out there. But what if you've noticed recently, or lately, I've noticed anyway, is that people are starting to open up their eyes and doing their own homework and doing their own research. Because once again, the narratives, all the lies, the bending of reality, the rewriting of history, it never stands up to the reality, the facts as it actually happened that we witnessed happen. It don't hold up to that. So when you see these people watching these old videos and they start doing, like I said, they start doing their homework, they start to realize the truth. Like you said, people start to realize, why do they got to keep telling us that someone is the greatest of all time? Because if that was the case, then you wouldn't have to tell us that, because what we were watching, what we witnessed, it would have us, come to that conclusion on our own. Like I always tell people, man, the facts are always there, man. The facts are going to be there, and we have the facts on our side. All these other people that you see out here, I don't care who they are. They could be one of the greatest basketball players of all time. They play in the NBA for 15, 20 seasons. If they're giving you some stupid opinion that's not based off of reality, it's based off of some new narrative that they're trying to push, and then it doesn't matter that I never played in the league or anything of that nature, because I'm giving you guys the straight facts here. And what people are pumping out in the mainstream, that's why they got to keep pumping this nonsense out. But when you watch the video footage, it doesn't add up. It doesn't add up. And that's when people start to scratch their head.
Yeah. To me, well, let me just see if I don't watch. So I have to ask you guys, I have to ask you this question. Am I wrong here or not?
And then let Uncommon Sense answer first.
If you back during the 90s, it was presented as we have the greatest to ever do our sport. Here it is. And they put out the product saying, look at what we have. Where they were, to use another show's term, they were exposing, they were showing it, right? They were saying, look what we got. Look at this. Whereas now it's, no, really, he is. Look, let us convince you. Right? They're trying to convince you that this guy is the best ever, where back 30 years ago, they weren't trying to convince you, they were showing you. It's a different philosophy.
All right. Uncommon Sense, what do you guys say about that?
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I feel like one of the things that we all know is, and I say this all the time, is Michael Jordan made people who were not interested in basketball watch basketball. My mom would sit and watch Michael Jordan play. She has not watched a basketball player since. So to me, when you are trying to constantly sell something, I mean, first of all, I think Rex said this, or maybe it was Sports and Fitness Rants, but it's LeBron has been in the league 21 years now. Now, every poll that they put out every year, still Michael Jordan is overwhelmingly considered the GOAT. So if all the marketing dollars in 21 years of marketing cannot convince the majority of fans, to me that says one thing, is that when fans watch the game, it's not adding up to what they're telling you on the media. Like, they're telling you, oh, he's great. And then the other thing is, like, the goalpost is ever evolving with LeBron.
Exactly. Yeah.
First is he's bigger, stronger, faster, and he's his past first player. And now we've kind of settled in on this longevity thing, which is like, since when has that ever been the standard for the greatest of a player in any sport? Is this, oh, he played for 21 years, and not to mention they never bring up the details of, or the it's like he played for 21 years, but he's now been playing in the easiest era of basketball that we've had, where they made it easy to score. And it's like, so they praise him for these big games without saying, oh yeah, by the way, but it is the easiest it's ever been to score. So yeah, I think I mean, to sum it up, is whatever they're telling you on the media is not adding up when people see it on TV.
Real fast, I just want to say thank you, Alex, for calling. We have DC Slim on, but thank you for asking your questions. All right. DC Slim, welcome again. How are you doing today?
What's up, fellas? First of all, shout out to Man Down Sports. Hey, man, we got the like Hall of Fame All-Star junk going on up in this junk today. Hey, these is the channels that I be watching on YouTube. This is the only reason I don't even watch basketball, man. I just be watching y'all. I'm gonna just keep it real with y'all. You know what I'm saying?
Me too.
So, but I'm always here for the LeBron James slander because I don't really like the Tin Man too much. So I ain't even gotta waste my time and talk about him. I got something better for y'all. All right. I think Michael Jordan is the most exciting player that I ever seen in my life, and I'm gonna agree with y'all on everything. That's my, he the motherfucking man. Excuse my French. He could do it all, but I don't think he's the best player that I ever seen. Okay. Now I think we got a fair argument here. It go back to like what Rashid said, right? See, I think our love for Michael Jordan is kind of turning into like the love of LeBron James fans. Like we don't reason with nothing. See, I'm not saying I agree with everything Rashid said, but he made a couple good points. If you're gonna be a Jordan fan, I love Jordan. Remember, he's my number one player. But he stayed at the free throw line. He got a lot of free calls. I think all she was saying is that he got slightly a free ride. That's not taking nothing away from what MJ did individually. You see what I'm saying? I think you just gotta have an open mind about it. Like even when it comes to today's game, man, I stopped comparing these youngins to the days when I was watching basketball because the game really not the same. The ball play not the same, the style. So you kind of wasting your time looking for that. So like when it comes to the 10 man, the NBA need him as a business. I hate to say that because they don't even know how to market the players. Man, you got a youngin out Minnesota that's vicious, shorty out Sacramento. You got some good players in this league, but I think the 10 man / LeBron's Lance Armstrong James, he kind of messing up the whole tempo of this. But far as like the Jordan thing, fellas, man, look, I love the Jordan praise, but I'm not, I think Jordan is great because like I put in the post, dog, he just wanted to beat you at anything. I think his number one attribute is if y'all walking, he gonna beat you in that. You know what I'm saying? And I think the only thing that I ever seen to that is Kobe. So I just think Kobe just got a slight edge over Mike as a player, not greatness. I'm not saying not his fame, his cartoons, none of that. I'm just saying on the court, if I saw them two play, I'll truly say, man, that game might not never end. All right. Mike told you that himself. Mike told you the only person that would beat him. So give Kobe credit for stealing the moves and using them right, fellas.
Let me be the tip of the spear for this. So DC, you started off with the Rashid because you said a lot of stuff after this, but you were talking about Michael Jordan not being a great defender because of Rasheed Wallace. So let me just get to that before everything else. And I'm not going to take long because I'd rather have these gentlemen talk on it. But why would Rashid say that this is rhetorical? So please don't answer. Why would Rashid say that he is not as great of a defender as people would say? For one, Rasheed Wallace wasn't playing Michael Jordan face up one-on-one most of the time. He would do it on a switch on occasion for those few years that he was in the league with him because he was significantly younger than him. How is he going to go and just take a dump on him because he was able to get fouls and get to the free throw line and just say he wasn't a great defender and then go and negate the all defensive team NBAs? I'm not really an award guy, but to the point is that how is he going to judge how he's a defender when they play completely two different positions? Rasheed Wallace wasn't nearly in respect to how Michael Jordan played defense. They played defense differently. He was a post defender. Michael Jordan was a guard. He played perimeter defense mostly. How are you going to judge somebody that you can't even compete with in that same respect? Just plainly. Everything you said past that had nothing to do with your initial question. You just said that Kobe was better. And that's your opinion. As the dude would say, that's like your opinion, man.
True.
But I also vehemently disagree in respect to that position because they played similar positions. And again, that's my opinion. They only overlapped a little bit in their careers. And in my opinion, Michael Jordan was significantly better. And I think it's proven with the success of being the lead guy. I won't go down that rabbit hole because I want these gentlemen to speak. Robin, I don't know what Uncommon Sense is doing because he's just got his avatar, but Robin, you seem like you want to say something, so let's do it.
Yes, Robin, please.
Now, listen, I'm not going to get too crazy here once again because I don't want to have to school my man again because he came back with the Kobe nonsense, man. You
I'm
ain't
going
slick.
to school.
But let me finish my soliloquy here, okay, man? Because once again, you come with the nonsense. So let's think about something real quick here, man. Why is it that Michael Jordan, whenever we hear these ex-players, these ex-coaches, whenever we hear these people speak, why is it Michael Jordan who never seemed to earn his place as the all-time greatest, right? Michael Jordan is, right, we all can clearly say that if we did a vote in the world, Michael Jordan is clearly seen and recognized as the greatest basketball player of all time. Only Michael Jordan, though, for some reason, is not being, respected for earning that title. All of a sudden now, everyone points at Michael Jordan, like a Rasheed Wallace, for example, and acts like he wasn't that good of a defensive player. What world are we living in now? Michael Jordan earned his recognition or being recognized as one of the all-time great defensive players, not just being good, but winning one of the greatest, right? All-time great defensive players in career. He earned that. Everything that Michael Jordan accomplished in career, he earned that status. The bar that Kobe Bryant was ascending to reach is the bar that Michael Jordan set, right? Why is he reaching or trying to aspire to be Michael Jordan? Because Michael Jordan was, right, the pinnacle. He's trying to get there, right? You talked about free throws. He said something about free throw shooting. Michael Jordan got calls. Are you kidding me right now? Let's really think about the reality here, right? Michael Jordan led the league in free throw attempts one time in his career. And you know why that is? Because the league and everybody in the league was complaining about Michael Jordan shooting too many free throws. So when we hear Isaiah Thomas talk about Michael Jordan complaining about getting fouls and things of this nature, it was the league that was complaining about Michael Jordan getting too many free throw attempts. But why was Michael Jordan getting foul calls in favor of him? Because the way that people defended Michael Jordan during that time was to foul him. They literally were fouling him. So you're sitting here being a hypocrite talking about fouls when Michael Jordan was actually being fouled and earning those fouls. When we look at how many fouls Michael Jordan had fouls called against him throughout his career, they were the same. Did Michael Jordan get preferential treatment? All the superstar players get preferential treatment. Let's not be idiots here. But to try to act as if Michael Jordan was getting more free throws than James Harden or some of these other clowns that we've been watching over the years, come on, man. Stop with the nonsense, man. Kobe Bryant's a great player, man. But to sit here and try to say that he's anywhere greater than Michael Jordan in any aspect, to me, is ridiculous, man. He's not more skilled. He doesn't have better footwork. He's not a greater athlete. Nothing that Kobe Bryant does is at a higher level than Michael Jordan, except for maybe dribbling the basketball. Other than that, literally nothing.
Hey, can I respond?
No, you
quickly?
can't, man. Let someone else talk.
Quickly, hold on. Wait a minute. Just respectfully.
Nah, man, stop
Listen,
that.
hey, calm down, bro. Hold on. Respectfully. I'm trying to answer the question.
No, DC, let Uncommon Sense and Rex say their piece, and then you can respond to both of them.
Okay, my bad, fellas. My bad. I ain't know the format. My bad.
No, you're good, man. I'm just saying that, you asked the question, so let everyone answer, and then you can say something back.
All right. Yeah, I'm gonna keep this short. Well, first of all, as far as the whole free throw thing and the defense with Michael Jordan, well, number one, I feel like all you got to do is go back and watch the tapes. I feel like Michael Jordan's defense cannot be denied. All you have to do is compare him to the other great players when they were matched up together. And, besides maybe one or two times, I can't think of anyone that outplayed Michael Jordan. So that means he had to be playing defense to keep these other great scorers numbers down, the Clyde Drexlers, the J.R. Riders, multiple people. As far as the free throws, it's like Sports and Fitness Rant said. I feel like all superstars get some sort of preferential treatment, but I think here's the thing is that nobody thinks about it. I think part of the reason superstars get that treatment is because normally the superstars of the team are the ones who are actually putting in the most work. And I think it is just human nature. When you see someone who is outworking everyone, that you tend to lean towards them. And I think it's something that even the reps can't help escape. It's like when you notice someone is literally giving their blood, sweat, and tears on the court, you tend to empathize with that player more. So I think it's like a human nature thing that the superstars of the team, or the ones who is putting in the most work, the guys who you see making the hustle plays and doing all they can to win, you probably naturally empathize. So again, I don't think this is a Michael Jordan thing. I think this is any superstar on any team that's leading their team and that you see is actually putting in the work. I think it's just normal to empathize, and I think that's why they get more calls a lot of the times. And then the last thing about Mike and Kobe, yeah, that's something I have to totally disagree with. This is the one thing I've said. You know, there's a lot of people that argue about Kobe being more skilled than Mike, and I guess maybe technically you could say he could do more than Mike. Maybe you could say that. But what you cannot deny is that Michael Jordan was better at the things that he did, you know, better than anybody else. It's like the footwork. Again, I've heard people try to say Kobe got better footwork than Mike. How? It's like everything Mike did was so much more precise, and Kobe got as precise as he could. Like I said, I think Kobe may have had more moves, but Kobe was not as precise as Mike. And again, that's, to me, it's one of those things. All you got to do is go watch the tape and look at how Mike moves and what he has to do to score versus Kobe. Kobe normally has to do a lot more to get off a shot than Michael Jordan does. Michael Jordan is usually one or two steps, and he's either up for a jump shot or he's at the rim. To me, Mike was just much more efficient, much more precise with his movements. And then, not to mention, you know, we don't even have to say greater athlete, you know, bigger hands. You know, when Phil Jackson was asked who he think would win between a one-on-one between Mike and Kobe, Phil said Mike was going to win. Now, he said it was because of the hands, but I think it's everything. Mike just overall is I hate to say much better player than Kobe, but I think the difference between Mike and everyone else is not a close second to Mike. I think it's second and then everybody else.
All right, Rex, do you have anything to add to this?
Yeah, okay. Hey, Robin, do I have Jordan as the GOAT?
No, you don't.
Okay. So now that I have he's testified there, this talk of Jordan being overrated defensively, just stop. He's an all-time great player. He did everything that was ever asked of him. You know, I mean, I'm just looking here, and you see, I believe in when you hear things like this, you got to check the veracity of the person saying it. Okay. And you got to understand exactly who is saying it.
Wow.
Now, when Rasheed Wallace said this, first thing I thought is, well, the one thing that we know for sure is Dean Smith is dead. Because when Dean Smith was alive, there's no way he would say this about another North Carolina player and get away with it. Dean Smith would have him on the phone in an hour. I'm just looking here real quick. In July 2013, Wallace joined the Detroit Pistons staff as an assistant coach after signing a 2-year contract. He worked with them for 1 season and was not rehired to the staff. Then in 2019, he was introduced as the boys' varsity basketball coach at Charles Jordan High School, no relation, in Durham, North Carolina. Then 2 years later, he agreed to become an assistant coach at Memphis for Penny Hardaway. But then 4 months after that, he joined his former head coach in Detroit, Hall of Fame coach Larry Brown, on the Tigers on January 13th, 2022. It was announced that Wallace would not serve an in-person role, but would finish the season working remotely. Does this sound like a man that you should be listening to his coaching evaluations on one of the all-time great players? Is this a credible source for this information? I say no.
DC, you have the chance to respond, and then if you gentlemen are okay, otherwise we got one more caller. Or no, I guess he left. Pierre left. But okay, yeah, DC, you got a chance to respond.
All right, look, fellas, listen to this. Nobody is hating on Jordan. And one thing I know about every last one of y'all channels, and this is what I like about y'all. Y'all always say attack the argument, not the person. All right? That's one thing all of y'all say. I don't care who Rashid is. He didn't have a lot of context in what he was saying. Dog, I'm about to be 50. I watched Jordan. We all crazy if we sit here and act like, I'm not saying Jordan is bad, but didn't get a great free pass sometimes. Okay. So when you start talking about somebody's career, I love Kobe and I include that. All right. This is one of the reasons why I never say it is a such thing as a GOAT. Because just like you said, some players get preferential treatment. If you get preferential treatment, that's cheating. Now, if in any other world, how we look at it, that's the considered like doping. So at the end of the day, I understand the marketing parts. Yeah, I told you Jordan is my greatest player, but I also understand that Jordan is not an original. Jordan is a carbon copy of about 2 or 3 more players. Okay, so if we speak of Michael Jordan,
will you stop it, man? Stop the nonsense, man. Get out of here, man. I'm not listening to this. He's a carbon copy of it. Stop it.
Hold on, bro. Let me finish. Listen, Michael Jordan's father said he plays like his brother. He also played like a person he played with in North Carolina. Look, man, I've been watching Jordan. I'm trying to tell y'all, I love Jordan. All right. But it's okay for sports. I appreciate the game of basketball. I'm not calling no man in basketball God. If I really wanted to, I'll say Bill Russell. Somebody who won in college, NBA, everything. But at the same time, it's okay to have a fair debate, not an argument about two players.
Just said some nonsense, man. Michael Jordan won in college and the NBA too, man. Will you stop it? He won in the Olympics. He went everywhere he went. Stop the nonsense, man.
I never said it.
You're trying to act as if people bigging up Michael Jordan and saying that he's the greatest of all time and giving him his just due and trying to stand up and set the record straight. You're sitting here right now trying to make it seem like we're jocking Michael Jordan. Stop it, man. No one's jocking Michael Jordan.
I'm not using that word. I'm not using the word jocking.
Stop, man.
Hold on.
You're talking about you double speaking, man. Ain't no one
I'm not double
Jordan.
speaking.
Listen, I
didn't use the word jocking, brother.
You over here talking nonsense.
Hold on, you didn't even let me finish my point. I didn't even interrupt you.
Man, his statements are not factual. There's nothing that he said that can be backed up through the facts. Michael Jordan's a great defensive player. He's an all-time great defensive player.
I never said he wasn't
get no preferential treatment that no one else got.
Bro. I was trying to get to that.
Stop it, man. Get out of here.
All right, look, let me just finish it like this, and I'll end it with this.
Kobe videos. I want you to
come on, man.
Tag me in that video.
I did. You too emotional, brother.
Because you come in
too
here
emotional.
You're part of the problem. You're not part of the solution, man.
Man, you are too emotional. Number one.
Nah,
see, that's one of the problems.
My man.
Just calm down. Let me finish.
Nah, listen, man, don't call me emotional, man. Listen. I don't play that game,
bro. No, now you serious. Now you got mad.
Yeah, don't call me emotional. I'm giving you the facts. You don't want to hear the education I'm giving you right now.
Listen, bro. Just let me finish my point, okay? Right. I ain't even trying to go there because this is just YouTube. Just listen to what I'm saying, man. All right. I am not saying you're Jordan jockey.
You're lying.
But when you talk about Jordan, I'm not disagreeing with nothing you saying. But I'm saying, dog, that he ain't God. Okay?
No one called him God. When did we call Michael Jordan God on this entire live stream, man?
Come on, man. I didn't interrupt. I didn't interrupt you one time.
Man. Yo,
listen. Stop. When you say Jordan is a leader, I say Jordan led by example.
Stop.
Okay? Jordan was a dickhead. We all know that. Jordan did not like people. So let's not make it like the only thing I'm disagreeing with y'all when you talk about Jordan is when you call him a leader. Nobody liked Jordan. Okay,
he was a leader. I don't think you understand what a leader is.
Cut this dude off. He's not a leader now.
Explain to me when you say leader, right? And see, this is why I say, and we living in a world now where we throw words out with no context, right? I don't think she was saying Jordan is a trash defender. He wasn't saying that, okay? I think he was saying, and you watched, you could score on him. That's all he was saying. Due to
Anyone,
the
everyone scores on
But-
everyone.
Yeah,
Whatever
I'm
you got
about
to
to
say on
say-
common sense. Yeah.
Will Chamberlain scored
that's
on
all.
Bill
I
Russell.
took it that way. I didn't take it personal. I didn't take it as Rashid was throwing shots at him. I didn't take it as Rashid was being a hater. See, that's why I'm comparing this to the LeBron thing, because it's almost like we got people that like the sport and like people, but then we got people that get a little bit extreme. Like, man, we got opinions. Y'all got some great shows. We dropping some points, but it ain't cool to say just because a brother disagree with you, you'll call him crazy. He's idiot. He all that. I just don't agree. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
so-
Uncommon
that
sense. What are you
ain't-
gonna say?
I ain't got nothing personal against y'all, man. I'm still gonna watch y'all shows. I look at basketball as a whole. I like the sport.
Yeah.
Okay. I like the game play. And it is fair. It is way fair to compare Kobe and Jordan. If you give your top 5, right? If you could say Kobe is 1A, Jordan 1A and Kobe is 1B, well, that means they exactly the same. So if they play, no stats, don't throw the 2-3 peats or none of that. If you put these two brothers on the court right now, a 5-game series, who would win best 3 out of 5?
Yeah. Robin, let a uncommon sense reply. He's been trying to say something.
Let me well, first of all, let me say this again, and I've always said this. I don't have a problem with anybody not having Michael Jordan as their GOAT. You know, I don't have a problem with that. But this is the thing that I think what happens a lot of times is I think people try to want to not seem like they're biased towards Michael Jordan, so they kind of go the opposite direction and feed into all this other stuff. Like, to me, when you're comparing superstars, there are certain stuff that happens to every superstar. So if you're going to bring it up for Jordan and say, oh, well, he's shooting free throws, well, every superstar probably has shot more free throws than the average player. You know, if you're taking the defense thing, it's like, how literal are you taking that defense thing? To say that people scored on Jordan, well, this is the NBA. I don't think Jordan is holding anybody to 0 points, if that's what he means by not being a great defender. But to me, not only can you see it on the tape, but the statistics are out there to show that Jordan was a great defender. And as far as the Michael Jordan and Kobe thing, well, that's a little more subjective because we'll never get to see them play. But again, you know, all you have to do, like certain facts about Michael Jordan, like to me, this is one of the greatest things that I think any NBA player can have a claim to is from 91 to 98, he never lost 3 games in a row. Like, to me, and that's just a testament to how much this guy was about winning, because I'm sure it wasn't a purposeful thing. I'm sure he wasn't at like 2 losses in a row and was like, oh, okay, let me buckle down. I can't get this 3rd loss now. I'm sure it was just like an innate thing that, you know, he was just so focused on winning. And, you know, if you listen to Phil Jackson talk with people who were around Jordan and Kobe, again, NBA players, Phil Jackson, the coach, Tim Grover. Yeah, somebody put in the chat that Kobe worked way harder. Well, Tim Grover said Kobe works harder, but Jordan works smarter. So to me, when you just watch Kobe play again, you can see the difference that Jordan was just much more surgical in his approach. Again, Jordan was 1, 2, 3 steps and he could do whatever he wanted to do, where Kobe, he had to work a lot harder. So, and Kobe wasn't as great as a defender as Michael Jordan.
Wow.
So when you talk about them two in the same boat, to me, Kobe's in my top 5. But as far as a 1A and 1B, to me, nobody. Well, first of all, the 1A and 1B thing to me is ridiculous. It's you first and second. But as far as, you know, to me, Jordan is especially if we're just talking about skill wise, Jordan is at a level that most people haven't reached, including Kobe Bryant. Kobe came the closest, but I think if you just go back and watch some of the games, watch how they move on the court, like, to me, it's no question. Like I said, Jordan was much more surgical in his approach, and Jordan just had a better instincts about the game of basketball.
All right. Yep. I just want to. I'm not trying to shut you off here, DC, but we've been on here for 2 hours. I appreciate you calling in.
Hey,
Welcome to
can
call in the future.
I end it with this? I say this to y'all, fellas. Hey, I love y'all. I still watch y'all channels, but let's keep it real, man. You know, have an open mind when it comes to sports. You know what I'm saying? It ain't always about what you believe, and chill on some of that energy, man. Y'all a little bit too emotional, man. These only sports. We ain't selling no dope or nothing. Come on, man. We talking about
If it's
Lamborghinis
only
and
sports,
Ferraris.
then tell them to stop lying, my man. That's the
Well,
point here,
well, at the
fool.
same
If
time,
it's
too,
only sports, why must they lie about sports? That's the
I'll be
whole
fair
point here,
too.
dummy. Get out of
I'll be
here.
fair too. I'll be
Get
fair
out
to
of
them
here,
too, to
man.
the LeBron fans. You also being one-sided. You
Get
know what
out
I'm
of here,
saying?
man.
And I told you, Jordan, my number one, dog. So you can't never say I'm hating on Jordan. You might feel that way, but I don't look at it the way you do. Once again, I love y'all channels, man. Y'all keep doing what you do and keep y'all foot on their neck. But hey, great idea. What is the criteria for greatness?
All right.
Yeah, have a show about that. Hey, what
He
is the
already has.
criteria?
Simple
Yeah,
yes.
okay. Is it can you
Yes.
just name something like he didn't lose 3 games in a row? One day, won't y'all come up with an idea and have this
No,
Hall
you
of
figure
Fame?
that out. You
And,
know what
and
greatness
somebody
is?
come up,
When
oh, because
everyone
I
calls
got the
everybody
list.
the Michael Jordan of. That's what greatness is. Greatness is not having to promote yourself on social media, yet still you sell more than everybody else who's currently playing, promoting themselves. That's what
Man, you
greatness
got a
is. Go
LeBron
figure it out,
James
man.
problem.
Go
You
figure it
got a
out.
LeBron James problem. You don't have an NBA problem. The
D-
Go
NBA is
figure it out,
still a
homie.
great product.
DC,
Come
thank
on,
you.
man.
Thank
Man,
you for
y'all be
calling.
easy, man.
You know
Thank you
what
for
greatness
calling.
is.
Call in the future. Thank you much for calling. All right. Well, that was fun. Yeah. So we've been doing this for about 2 hours and 20 minutes. I want to thank everybody for coming. Do you guys have any last words regarding the topic before we sign off and say our goodbyes to everybody?
Anyone?
No, I've said too much already. I've gone crazy. I went off the rails. But this is why my channel's called Sports and Fitness Rants, because we must continue to educate these fools, man, who don't want to listen. My man was out here calling that we said that Michael Jordan was God. We never mentioned Michael Jordan, the word God, in the entire 2 hours of the live stream. But these morons continue to come in here and talk nonsense. So shout out to everybody out there, man. You know the deal.
Indeed.
All right.
And I guess I just want to say, he was saying keep an open mind, but I feel like, well, my mind is open, but this is the way I feel about it. So it's like while you're telling other people to keep an open mind, you have to keep an open mind as well. Like I said, to me, the stuff that he was saying and the stuff that people bring out about Jordan is stuff that can apply to every star. So it's like, don't isolate it just because I feel like a lot of people feel like Jordan gets talked about too much. And, a lot of people want to believe that his greatness can't be as good as they say it is. So a lot of people try to do things to diminish that. But anyway, that's all I got.
You got anything, Rex?
Well, I don't even understand exactly what the argument that he brought to the table was. I mean, obviously, Jordan, top tier defender for his entire career. There was never lapses. He was always a tough defender. He was a tough defender in college. He was a tough defender in high school, but at the forward position. So I don't understand what the thing is there. Rasheed Wallace is obviously, he's just like JJ Redick and the other one from the Wizards.
Arenas.
Yeah. I mean, they're all in the same boat, just trying to get clicks, just saying stuff. Like I said, if Dean Smith was alive, he would have never said that. He mentioned the fouls. I remember Jordan in the dunk contest wearing a gold chain, but I don't ever remember him in a game wearing a whistle. Maybe I'm wrong. Okay. They had this discussion before you guys. Okay. Back in the 70s, they had this discussion. It was called SSP, Superstar Protection. And it was something that was on purpose. The league was fledgling. It was not the prime, thing to watch, and it was decided our star players need to stay on the court. Hard fouls on the stars will not be tolerated. Teams start getting chippy with Dr. J, with Havlicek, with Moses, with somebody, with Kareem. Start calling it tight. Start getting it under control. We don't want that. And the argument was, it's business. Everyone understands their place. And these guys that are getting the superstar protection were the superstars. They earned it by their play to get to that level. It's not cheating. Are there special rules for quarterbacks? All right. When the home run king gets up the plate, if you throw at his head, whether you hit him or not, you're getting tossed because of who it is in the box. Okay? Every sport has rules to protect the most important players. It's not cheating. You have to earn that spot in the league to begin with. They just don't go, okay, you know what? This guy over here, we really like him. So you can't get near him. And we're going to give him 20 free throws a game. Okay? That's not how it works. No one liked Mailman, but he led the league in free throws almost every year. Okay? It's not because they like you. It's because you earn those calls through your play on the court. If you want to say, oh, well, the backup small forward doesn't get that call. No, because he hasn't earned it.
Real fast, it was asked, where can you get the MJFB merchandise by CR? I do not know if it's in the description section of the channels that are live streaming otherwise from here, i.e. Sports and Fitness Rants or Politicus Rex. However, you can come to my channel and you can click on the Shopify link, but I think it is in the description section of their links as well. There's a Shopify link. You could buy shirts, hats, or mugs, or stickers if you really want them. For everyone interested, there's a link that is in the description section. But yeah, absolutely. I thought this was a great show. I want to thank first Mr. Sense, Uncommon Sense, for coming on. Just to put it up front, we do this every week, and if per your availability, you're welcome on anytime you'd like.
Thanks so much for having me. Shout out to Market and Rec. Shout out to Sports and Fitness Rents. This has been a blast, and I watch MJ Fans Are the Best. I watch your channel a lot. Sports and Fitness Rants. Market and Rex, I will be watching your channel now. So it's been a pleasure chatting with all of you, and I'll definitely be back for sure.
Absolutely. With that said, just to reiterate, this is Uncommon Sense first time on here, and some of you people were asking about bringing Angry Old Hoops on. I reached out to him. If you think he should come on, email him yourself. I'm trying to make the greatest Michael Jordan fan YouTube conglomerate on YouTube. So please reach out to these guys, the up-and-comer guys, these guys that are coming about. I'm trying to make it happen. So please reach out to them and say that you think they'd be good for the show. Uncut Hoops came on here, said he was interested on coming on. He's a bigger channel. So please, if you have people in mind, please reach out to them. And I want to make this the greatest thing on the internet. Robin, Sports and Fitness Ranch, you have anything to say?
No, once again, guys, much respect to everybody in the chat, man. Uncommon Sense, man. Much respect for you to coming through, man, and shining us with your wisdom, man. I've been subscribed to your channel for a while now, man. Of you too, man. So much respect to you and everything you've been doing, man. You know everything, Dar. You know what we do, Dar. You know what we do here, man. This is what we must continue to do. Rex, you know the deal, man. You know it, guys. Everyone out there, we must continue to educate, set the record straight, stand up, stop the lies, stop the narratives, man. Remember, guys, I heard some people saying something about, opinions and agreeing, and, we all agreed, then the world would be boring. It's not about agreeing or having opinions. You must base your opinion based off of reality and the facts. And you form your opinion off of that. That's the only way you can have an informed opinion. You can't base off of narratives and lies, man. So when you hear people talking and we're correcting and we're giving you the facts, form your opinion off of that. This is not about agreeing, man. I don't give a damn if you agree with me, as long as you know I'm right. You guys know the deal, man.
Rex, you got anything to say?
Just we really need to do a show about the 1984 Olympic team, their publicity tour. That entire thing has been taken so out of context.
Yep. Yeah. That is definitely a topic to be put on the table. Let's all talk about it in the future after this live stream. Again, I want to thank everybody that's come through the chat, coming from Sports and Fitness Rants. Uncommon Sense, were you able to get your share to work, or do I have to send you a copy of this?
I need a copy.
Okay.
I think I might have figured out the problem, but this time I wasn't able to get it to work. So
okay, yeah. Hopefully next time you're able to get it to work. That way we get more viewers across.
absolutely.
Everybody. And for everybody, I saw this in the thing with Eagle Trippin'. For anybody that didn't know anybody else on this live stream, please subscribe to their channel. If you like them, you could check probably the smallest guy here in respect to YouTube channels. Marketing Rex, you can check him out at Politicus Rex. You could check mine at Michael Jordan Fans Are the Best. Uncommon Sense. You could just type in his tag right there. And Sports and Fitness Rants, please, if you like any of what we had to say, please like and subscribe and notify or get notifications for our channels. And that's the purpose, is to spread the word of, even though Rex isn't particularly a Michael Jordan fan, just what we have to say.
Let's there's no GOAT. It's a team sport. You can't compare eras. You can't compare positions. I believe Michael Jordan is the greatest shooting guard to ever play, and I believe that he is the best player of his era.
Yeah.
But there's no such thing as a GOAT. You can't compare Bill Russell to LeBron, Michael Jordan to Jerry West. Fantastic all-time great player.
Yeah.
No GOAT.
And that's what I'm getting at, is if you like what we had to say, and that's his position on everything, please check us out. And anyway, thank you all for coming again. And Michael Jordan